The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with White and Mackay, where wit, wisdom and experience still make occasional last-minute appearances. Smoothly does it.
Thank you all so much for being here at our wedding. I can't believe I get to spend the rest of my life with the woman of my dreams. Speaking of dreams, have you ever dreamed of tasting all the colours of the rainbow? Because that is exactly what you get with Skittles. 5 bold fruit flavours in every pack. Lemon, orange, lime, strawberry and blackcurrant. They're chewy, they're colourful, they're perfect. Just like my wife. So thank you for coming, and remember to buy Skittles.
Shamelessly promote the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
Switch to PlusNet's award-winning full fibre from just $22.99 a month. Our sweet deal gets you fast and reliable broadband with no activation fee, with speeds up to 900 megabits. Ooh, feels like a sugar rush. Full fibre that's full of value. That's a plus. Offer ends 6th of May. 24 months, $26.99 from the 31st of March 2027. $30.99 from the 31st of March 2028. New customers only. 62% UK availability. Terms apply.
After Faye Fruits yogurt, I'm never going back. So fruity, so thick, so gorgeous from the pack. It's called Faye Fruits yogurt. It's a smooth and fruity snack. Gimme that Faye. Passion fruit or strawberry flavour, my way. And taste the coconut, give me that Faye. Go down the shops for this fruity snack. After Faye Fruits yogurt, there's no going back.
Changes in sexual performance are more common than most people realize, and support doesn't need to feel awkward. With MedExpress, everything happens privately online. Start by completing a short consultation reviewed by UK-registered clinicians. If eligible, treatment is delivered discreetly to your home, with ongoing support whenever you need it. You're not alone in this. Visit medexpress.co.uk/podcast to learn more.
You can't do much in under 5 minutes. Boil an egg? Sure. Cook a roast dinner? No chance. But comparing car insurance prices with mustard.co.uk? Easy. See what you could save in just a few minutes. Click mustard.co.uk. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. See website for details.
It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard. As the post-split fixtures begin, Scottish football enters the home straight towards finding out who goes down, who qualifies for Europe, and above all else, who wins the Scottish Premiership. St Mirren against Livingston and Aberdeen Kilmarnock first up today. Then it's over to the title race, Celtic Falkirk later, before Rangers Motherwell and an Edinburgh derby tomorrow. Strap yourselves in. Drama and controversy guaranteed for the next few weeks. I'm Gordon Duncan, and in the studio you have Gordon Dalziel, Cammy Bell and Hugh Keevins.
Post-split, circus time. This is the waltzer. The dodgems and the helter-skelter all put together. Celtic can go top this evening if they beat Falkirk. Livy could be officially relegated if they lose to St Mirren and Paisley, and if Aberdeen beat Kilmarnock, then Neil McCann's side would be rooted to second bottom place and looking at the relegation playoffs. And then we go through it all tomorrow at Ibrox and Easter Road. Off we go, Daz.
Yeah, another beautiful day as well. Football galore. I've got to say, like every pundit, like every supporter, I'm waiting to tomorrow night to see what like the top of the league is, and obviously the bottom of the league as well. And then you can look at East Kilbride today. Can they clinch another promotion? Home away to Dumbarton. Obviously they've got to get results to go for them. But for the top league, we have got some fantastic games, and will it eventually be the end of Livingston this afternoon?
Yeah, a massive day of football ahead of us. Really looking forward to it. A big game up at Aberdeen versus Kilmarnock. Two clubs desperate on a win. Aberdeen, if they can get that win, will probably see them away from relegation, but Kilmarnock fighting for their lives at the bottom. And then, as you mentioned, Daz, potential Livingston getting relegated today, and the opportunity for Celtic to get 3 points on the board before Rangers and Hearts play tomorrow.
Looking forward to it all. We're here all afternoon up until 6 o'clock. We'll see what happens on the pitch. We'll build up to the game later on, and of course we'll give you the nod when it's time to have your say on the phones, and all that does is set us up for tomorrow as well. It is going to be incredible, Hugh Keevins, because it's already been a season like no other in many ways, and it can only end in dramatic fashion whichever way you look at it.
Everything has happened this week. James Tavernier announces the end of the line for him at Ibrox. I've never known anyone to split a support the way he does. I laughed at the caller on Monday night on Super Scoreboard who said he was responsible for as many goals as he had scored goals for Rangers. Then we had the Celtic captain, Callum McGregor, coming out and saying, I want to stay, but the club need to match my ambitions. An amazing thing for the captain to say. The last man who said something like that was binned by Dermot Desmond not long after. So if it can happen, it will happen this season. There's no point in looking at the Celtic Falkirk game tonight and thinking it's a foregone conclusion on the basis that Falkirk went out of the Cup last weekend in a horrendous way and are -3 top players today, because this season you never know.
Can't wait for it. Let's get stuck in and go round the grounds ahead of the 3 o'clock games, the first round of post-split fixtures. What is it going to have in store? It's all about the bottom of the table taking centre stage firstly. So let's go to Paisley for St Mirren against Livingston, and Fraser Wishart will tell us what's at stake.
Yeah, I think you guys were summing it up in the studio there. We enter the tense bottom 6 games. Really exciting for all of us as neutrals, but I think nerve-wracking for the players, the supporters and the staff of the clubs involved. The two teams here, different priorities, are playing against each other. St Mirren have to shrug off disappointment with that cup semi-final defeat against Celtic last week, where for Livingston it's all about staving off their inevitable relegation for another week and perhaps even winning, amazingly, their second game of the season. They haven't won since August. St Mirren having their troubles to seek this week. Jamal George, of course, injured. Ryan Mullen injured in the first minute, giving away that goal in the cup semi-final. It meant young 17-year-old Grant Tamosevicius made his debut. Emergency loan signing Ross Sinclair from St Johnstone, though, starts today, and for a vital game for Saints, Kelly and Aberdeen play each other. And I think it's a great opportunity for Saints to make ground on Dons or increase a 2-point gap between themselves and Kelly. And Craig McLeish, I think, will be telling his players. There have been many positives from recent games. Last week, although the heavy defeat in the end, they drew over 90 minutes, came back from 2 down. They played well at Celtic Park the week before, and I was here when they beat Aberdeen 2-0 comprehensively last time in the league. So I think they've been playing pretty good football in recent weeks, but today will be different. I expect Livy to defend deep, hitting the break, and this has been the type of game St Mirren have struggled with this season. Fit again, Ayunga and Mandron will have a huge role to play. Marvin Bartley will making sure there's going to be plenty of fight, and his team individually a lot to play for, with lots of out of contract players in the summer, so they want to show Marvin Bartley or maybe even somebody else that they deserve a contract for next season. But I think it's a really important game for St Mirren. They've got the bottom of the table team in the first game and the bottom 6. What a chance to put a marker down. The result could set the tone for the coming weeks, either positive or negative. I can't see anything other than a St Mirren victory here today, though. They've made 2 changes. As we said, Mullen and Donnelly are out injured, and Sinclair and King come in to the team in its usual 3-5-2 formation. Ross Sinclair in goals, Richard King, Alex Gogic and Michael Freckleton in the back, O'Hara, Phillips, Devaney, Campbell and John across the middle, with Mikael Mandron and Jonah Ayunga as the forwards. Grant Tamasiewicz is the sub-goalkeeper. Jayden Richardson, Scott Tanzer, Roland Dowu, Conor McMahon, Liam Faulkner, Jamaro Calvin, Luke Douglas and Jake Young are the substitutes for Livingston. 2 changes as well. Out go Kerr and Montano, in come McGowan and Cabalongo. So they go with Jerome Prior in goals, Ryan McGowan, Danny Wilson and Brooklyn Cabalongo across the back. Dan Finlayson, Scott Arfield, Mohamed Silla and Babacar Fati across the middle, with Lewis Smith and Stevie May tucked in behind the lone striker. Joel Newbley, Jack Hamilton, Emmanuel Danso, Cammy Kerr, Christian Montano, Barry Mackay, Robbie Muirhead, Scott Pittman, Macaulay Tate and Josh Zimmerman are the subs. The referee is David Dickinson and the VAR is John Beaton.
I know not everyone loves the split, Fraser Wishart, and it has its flaws for sure, but when you see games like this, and I could repeat this really every game now that we preview, whether it's today or across the rest of the weeks, but this is really what it's all about, isn't it? And you look at the teams, they'll be looking at the other results going on today in the games that we'll get to. Livingston maybe out of the picture, I think, for most people, but 10 times at the bottom.
Yeah, but it gives the teams at the bottom the opportunity to actually win some football games. If you were sitting bottom of the table, second bottom, say Kilmarnock, and you had games against the top 3 or 4 to come up, it's going to be very difficult for you to chase the teams above you. So I'm a big fan of the split. I think it really does the job. There's quite a lot of countries across Europe have copied us over the years and have done the split as well, and it just keeps everything competitive. When you look at the league table today, Dundee United are probably the only team with nothing to play for this weekend. You know, they're going to have to just plan for next season, but everybody else is either trying to get out of relegation, try to get into Europe, or the top 3 try to win the title. So Nervy down at the bottom though, and this is a big game for St Mirren. As I said earlier, I just think this could set the whole tone for the rest of the season, and it's important when you're at that bottom of the table. If you're playing Livy at home, who've had such a poor season, it's a must-win game for St Mirren.
What does the future look like for our old pal Marvin Bartley then? Because he's going to take Livingston down, but it's also not his fault. They were bottom when he took over. They were sort of going down anyway. I think performances have got better, albeit not managed to get the wins. So how do you think that plays out?
I think they'll stick with him. I mean, you don't make that change and hand him over a team that was virtually down already and then blame him for going down. And I think Davy Martindale likes Marvin Bartley, and Davy of course will still have a big influence on who gets the job. I think Marvin has made them better. I think he's played quite defensively in the games I've seen, but if you're bottom of the table you need to stop losing goals, so there's no problem in that. The test for Marvin next year will be Livy when they go down. Will be one of the teams that will be looking to get straight back up, and that's when they have to sign players and bring in players that can play on the other end of the pitch and actually go and win football games. But I don't think anybody's looking at it saying, oh, Marvin Bartley's job's in danger. I think he'll be there next year and he'll be in charge. But a big summer, because a big change around does many clubs with players in and out.
Yeah, really looking forward to that one today in Paisley. Let's go to the other game linked to that same picture down at the bottom. It's Aberdeen against Kilmarnock. Dave Galloway's the man.
Yes, another big crowd will roll up to see a massive match for both teams. Gordon, Aberdeen were much improved in deservedly beating Hibs, who, to be fair, played most of the game with 10 men. Stephen Robinson says he's been told the atmosphere at the club is the best it has been in months. Confidence certainly appears to have grown about the place as the Dons strive to free themselves from relegation worries during the 5 post-split fixtures, or the bloodbath, as I've heard them called. Very appropriate, I would say. A home win would see them almost safe from the drop, as we have already touched upon on the programme. But with Aberdeen having recorded just 2 wins in the last 11 league games, they have got plenty to prove. Kilmarnock's away form is absolutely abysmal, with their last victory away from home way back in September, but much has of course changed since then, and Neil McCann insists positivity is high in his dressing room heading into today's encounter. A major added incentive for Killie is knowing that if they can end, that's a big if they can end that long run without a win on the road, they will drag Aberdeen right back into the mire and cut the gap on them to just 2 points with 4 games to go. So much to play for here at very cold and very blustery Pittodrie. Let's have a look at the teams then. Just the one change for Aberdeen. It's Frame in for Gyamfi. So it's Meatoff in goals, Milne, Morrison and Malloy, the back 3. Jensen, Aremu, Armstrong and Frame in the middle, with Cameron playing off Olusanya and Nisbet in attack. Subs for the Dons today: Brathwaite, Shinnie, Knuster, Geiger, Palaversa, Lazetic, Lobben, Womono and Keskinen. News for Kilmarnock, and firstly it's great to see Max Stryjek back in goals. This will be his first start since he underwent heart surgery in November, so all the very best of luck to him. He replaces Keller Roos in goals. The other difference for Kilmarnock is Glichenko coming in for his first start since his arrival at the club in January. He replaces Anderson. So Stryjek in goals, then a back 4 of Brandon, Stanger, Dees and Shonning Larson. Midfield: Kilty, Lowry and Tishbola. Up top for Killie, Hugill. Hugill is supported by Glichenko and Curtis. The subs for the visitors today: Roos, Thompson, Williams, Mayo, McKenzie, Lyons, Watson, McGuinness and Anderson. Match referee here is Nick Walsh, and on VAR it's Andrew Dallas.
What's the local feeling, Dave Galloway, apart from it being clearly very windy up there? What are you thinking in terms of that win, the last time out, and when Aberdeen got their win? Has that eased relegation fears, or is it still bubbling away, knowing that it could change quickly?
It has certainly eased the relegation fears somewhat, Gordon. It has changed the kind of mindset at Pittodrie and the mindset among the supporters. Aberdeen started so well against Hibs, they got right after them, and if they do the same today, the feeling among the support is then they should be okay. But it'll be very interesting to see how strong the optimism of the Red Army really is. Say if Kilmarnock get off to a good start and then they get their noses in front, that would really put the cat among the pigeons, wouldn't it? So I would say that the confidence is noticeably better around the whole club, the support, the players and everybody associated with the Dons, but it could be pretty fragile if things don't go according to plan today. It'd be very, very interesting to see how this one pans out.
And that's the beauty of it, because you're constantly looking at the other games as well, wondering what that means for you. Tense times at the bottom of the table for those involved, but for us it's pure excitement. Let me look at my sheet. So we've done Fraser Wishart at Paisley, Dave Galloway at Pittodrie, Roger Hanna. You're where?
I'm in Dumbarton, in the sunshine, in the shadow of the rock, Gordon, because it could be a historic day for East Kilbride this afternoon. If they win and Spartans lose at home to Elgin City, East Kilbride would be a League One team for the first time in history. Mick Kennedy, Simon Ferry and our own Scott Allen have led Kilby to the brink of the League One title. Among the key contributors, of course, is the club captain Jack Leach, a man you know closely, Gordon. I spoke through the week to John Robertson, nominated for PFA Scotland League 2 Player of the Year. 31 goals he's got, including 19 in the league, and there is a big expectation among the visiting fans at the Rock here today. It would be Clyde at home next week for East Kilbride, so even if Spartans get a result, Kilby remain in pole position to go up. They tweeted their motto this morning: everything from everyone, and it has been a real team effort from them so far. And what you have to remember is their first ever campaign in the SPFL, coming up through the playoffs as Lowland League champions 12 months ago. I will run through the teams. Dumbarton, just one change from the side that lost to Clyde last week. Toby Joseph comes in for Alexander Smith, the Young Rangers loanee in midfield. So it's Aidan Rice on loan from Celtic in goal. A back three: Christian Webster, son of Andy, the skipper Mark Durnan and Ali Omar. Midfield: Michael Doyle, Gordon Walker, Toby Joseph and Adam Livingston, with Scott Honeyman behind Scott Tomlinson and Leighton McIntosh. On the bench: Long, Blair and Duncan, Roy, Wallace and Brown, Gilfeder and Marshall. One change too for East Kilbride: Rhys Breen comes in for Andrew Kyle, the Celtic loanee at left back. The only change from the 4-0 win against Edinburgh City last week. So Craig Hepburn is in goal. A back four: Sean Fagan, Jordan McGregor, Jamie Hamilton and Rhys Breen. Midfield: top scorer John Robertson, skipper Jack Leach, along with Lewis Spence and Bobby McCluckie on loan from Hearts, and that leaves Joe Baldy in behind the striker Connor Young. On the bench it's Morrison, Sam Young and Kyle, Elliot Foster and Dobie, Kerr Robertson and Milcrease. The referee is Cameron Stirling, of course. We don't have VAR. It would be remiss not to mention Dumbarton, safe in 9th place again. They will play league football here next season. It's always nice to come back to the Rock, one of the great historic clubs in our league, as Hugh will tell you. You've all been here before. When you're greeted, you come in the front door, there are replicas of the trophies that Dumbarton won back in the day. There's photographs of promotions and title wins of a more recent era, and of course, Gordon, there's now a plaque commemorating the day Gordon Dale was locked in here.
Do you remember that? Remember you said the Super Scoreboard's not been allowed in Dumbarton. We've been banned for about 5 years because you got sent and got locked in one time, but we're finally allowed back.
One of the biggest nightmares of my life. I literally was sitting in the darkness.
And you've had a lot of nightmares.
Yeah, and the problem was, it wasn't like a sunny day where Roger, and by the way, get a lot of sun cream on that head, just to let you know. It wasn't one of those days. It was a freezing night, a winter's night, and the lights went out in the Rock and I was in trouble.
So let me get this straight, Roger Hanna. We've sent you to watch East Kilbride in case they win and Spartans lose and they'll be champions. You holding out much hope of that being the case, or will it roll on to next week?
I expect East Kilbride will win here this afternoon. I have to say they've just got a little bit of momentum about them as well. You need to remember there was a stage where they lost 6-0 at home to Spartans and they were 8 points behind them, and they then went an incredible run, 7 consecutive wins, Gordon, to go above Spartans. I just cannot see them taking the foot off the gas. Spartans may well get a result at home to Elgin trying to get into the promotion playoffs themselves, but even if they do, I would expect East Kilbride to win today and set up a potential title party at K Park against Clyde next Saturday.
See, never let it be said we've not got all the big stories covered up and down the divisions. League 2 for Roger Hanna this afternoon. Lots to look forward to as today progresses. When we return, we'll take a look at some of the week's biggest talking points. Lots of men out there want to feel more confident in the bedroom. In fact, 1 in 5 men have issues as they get older. That's why MedExpress is here to provide support in minutes through a free online consultation. By completing the short online consultation, they'll suggest the right treatment for your concerns, all from the comfort of your home. And you know you're in the right place. They've been one of the country's leading online pharmacies since 2013 with over 1.5 million customers. Their UK-based clinical team will support you every step of the way and send your medication straight to your door. And the best bit is the whole process is online, so you don't even have to visit your GP. So no more planning or pressure, just confidence when you need it most. Visit medexpress.co.uk to check your eligibility and get 30% off with the code SuperScoreboard. That's SuperScoreboard, all one word, when you check out at medexpress.co.uk.
This week with Lidl's Garden event, you can reserve your ceramic Kamado barbecue for just £249. Claim yours through the Lidl Plus app and collect it in-store next week. Now we're cooking. Lidl, more to value. Subject to availability, selected stores, T's and C's apply. See lidl.co.uk/lidl-plus-terms. Offer ends 26th of the 4th, 26.
Thank you all so much for being here at our wedding. I can't believe I get to spend the rest of my life with the woman of my dreams. Speaking of dreams, have you ever dreamed of tasting all the colours of the rainbow? Because that is exactly what you get with Skittles. 5 bold fruit flavours in every pack. Lemon, orange, lime, strawberry and blackcurrant. They're chewy, they're colourful, they're perfect. Just like my wife. So thank you for coming, and remember to buy Skittles.
Shamelessly promote the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
What's on TV? The answer is a lot. There's never been more choice over what to put on the box with an abundance of great new shows, but you can miss them all if you don't know where to look. And that's where the Pilot TV podcast comes in, your essential guide to every show that matters. Each week we sift through the very best in prestige TV to help you decide what's worth spending your time on and what isn't. So join me, James Dyer, as well as venerable TV critics Boyd Hilton and Kay Ribeiro, and let us help take the stress out of your downtime. The Pilot TV podcast, because you can't watch everything.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Cammy Bell and Gordon Dalziel are in the studio. The top team round the grounds. It is a bit of a spread out fixture list in the Premiership this weekend, so we'll build up to Celtic Falkirk later on. Of course, Rangers, Motherwell tomorrow, and Edinburgh Derby, Dundee Derby as well. So for now, as we always do on a Saturday, let's take a look back at some of the week's biggest talking points. There are a couple that seem linked. So let's start with James Tavernier, Roger Hannah. What was your reaction to that news and everything that's gone on since?
Listen, the timing of it, you can look at either way, whether it's good to get a bit of certainty now or whether it sort of takes a little bit of the concentration away from what Rangers should be focusing on, which is a league title. I think it makes sense for everyone. James Tavernier has been a terrific servant. 500 odd games, 100 odd goals, 100 odd assists. He has won each of the domestic trophies once. He's led Rangers to a European final. He will always be warmly welcomed back at Ibrox, I would think. But he's reached a stage of his career, Gordon, at 34, where he's no longer first choice. Dujon Sterling in the big games has played ahead of him. And you can't really see a situation next season where James Tavernier would have regained first choice status at the club. To go to brass tacks, he's on an awful lot of money. I think he would have had to sign for an awful lot less money if he was willing to stay, and he can probably get an awful lot of money elsewhere. Whether that's down south, whether he goes to the USA, whether he goes to the Middle East, I don't know. But I just think it's a parting that suits everyone at the right time for everyone.
You don't think it would have been worth trying to sort something where he hangs around and still provides the sort of numbers that he has this season?
To be honest with you, no. I think Danny Rowell will want to put his own stamp in the team. You know, remember, Danny Rowell's not had a close season. He's not had a summer to recruit players. They brought some players in January, but I think he will want to shape the team in his own image in the summer. He said nice words about James Tavernier. I believe Emmanuel Fernandez had said something similar and stuff I read earlier on. A very popular player. I spoke to Andy Halliday, a former teammate, about him through the week. He was saying nothing but good things about James Tavernier and what he has brought to Rangers over the past 11 years. But all good things must come to an end, Gordon, and I think the time to bring that end is now.
What does the end look like then, Cammy? What's the legacy, if you like? Because I think you put it perfectly earlier on. Hard to sort of imagine a more I think divisive is not the right word as such, but a player that has sort of got such obvious positive numbers and contribution, it's never been enough for some people.
Yeah, and I think that's just the period that he's been in, the era that he's been in, that Rangers haven't won as many trophies as the fans would have wanted to, and when you're captain, you almost get labelled with a lot of the criticism that comes his way. I feel as if for years it's been unfair on him, the numbers that he's gave the club with regards to appearances, goals, assists. You go through it all, he's always made himself available. He's never found himself on the sidelines or shied away from difficult periods, which he's found himself in with Rangers through his career there. So yeah, listen, it certainly has. He's split the fans for a number of years now. I think when James made his announcement this week, I wasn't surprised. I felt as if his Rangers career would come to an end this season. I think Roger's right, it probably suits everyone, and James Tavernier will move on. But listen, you've got to praise how well he's done for the club. For me, as I say, that amount of appearances, the amount of goals and assists he's brought to the club is just phenomenal over a period. But again, he's always been the go-to for criticism when it comes towards Rangers players.
Tavernier for me was always the victim of time and circumstance. When the great Rangers captains, Gregg, Butcher, Gough, Amoruso, were in their pomp, that was because Rangers were in the ascendancy. When Tavernier signed for Rangers, they were in the worst place they had ever been. And Tavernier, in a good Rangers team, would have gone away with legendary status. But you have to be careful with words in this instance. He's the victim of time and circumstance. He was outstanding, consistent for Rangers, certainly not to blame as much as some fans would hold him to account for things that happened. He has been wonderful for Rangers, but legend, perhaps not.
It's just a great case study, Fraser Wisher, into what makes a good player, how much of it is their individual contribution and how much of it is the team that they are part of. I remember, Harry Kane was always a good one for this down the road, where clearly didn't win very much, but it was obviously very good. It feels like James Tavernier would be our version of that, if you like.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that, and I listened during the week. Some of the criticism I thought was astonishing by some Rangers supporters, and I'm thinking to myself, surely the Rangers supporters that are critical of him and really critical of him are in the minority, surely, because you was talking about legendary status. Aaron Ramsey missed a penalty kick in Seville, and James Tavernier could have been lifting the Europa League trophy. I mean, that would have been legendary status, and he was magnificent that season for Rangers in all the games. He scored so many goals from full-back. He was brilliant. So for me, we can focus on the negatives, we can focus on, and of course the Old Firm games sometimes decide whether people think you're a good player or not a good player, and Dazzy Maeda has caused them problems, but my goodness me, this man's been loyal, he's stood by the club, and I think it's a great chance for him to go and enjoy the last few years of his career. It's not often as a player you get the chance to choose where you go, and he's out of contract and he's 34 and he's very fit, and he's still going to make a few quid and get a payday and go to somewhere and be able to choose where he goes, because if you're under contract, it's only that the club that pays the money where you can go to. So for me, he should go with his head held high. He will be highly thought of, I think, by the majority of Rangers supporters, and he's been a terrific player, terrific servant, for want of a better word, and I think you'll still see James Tavernier play for 3 or 4 years at a very good level.
And I suppose, Roger Hannah, for those who can't quite separate the two, there's still the chance for that to change slightly come the end, and maybe more than slightly come the end of this season, whether he's the one that lifts the trophy or not.
Yeah, as you said to me on Monday night, your supercomputer's given him a 47.2% chance, I think, of lifting that trophy at the end of the season, and he will play a role. You can't think that Dujon Sterling, with his fitness issues, is going to play every minute of every game in the run-in post-split, Gordon. He didn't play at Falkirk on that synthetic surface before the split, so last day of the season, if Rangers are still in that title mix, what price would you give in a Tavernier free kick winning the title, or, as they say, James Tavernier penalty?
I'd much prefer he didn't refer to it as my supercomputer. I have to say, absolutely no ownership or responsibility over that whatsoever. To move quite smoothly on to the next one, because it's another fans' favourite, legend, whatever, use the phrase, a long-time servant, etc, etc. James Forrest, Hugh Keevins, slightly different, I get it, different circumstances, but what did you make of that one, signing a new deal?
I think it's done for the right reasons. He came on last Sunday at Hampden and immediately changed everything for Celtic, who were struggling badly at the time. And he has only ever played for Celtic, and he wants to end his career able to say, I only ever played for Celtic. I think he'll be used sparingly. You'd be kidding yourself on if you think that James Forrest will start every game. He'll be used sparingly, but he can make an impact. So I think the Celtic fans are looking for far bigger developments than James Forrest having a contract extension, but he deserves it, and at the end of next season he can go as the most decorated Celtic player of all time.
It's a really good debate, that one as well, Roger Hanna, because I mean, you couldn't find a Celtic fan who would argue with his trophies won and his contribution in that regard. And Hugh quite rightly points out, look at the impact last week, so it shows he still can have an impact. Hugh also mentioned he thinks he'll be used sparingly next season. He started 2 league games this season. That's sparing for some people. What does that then become if you sign wingers that actually can come in and impact the team, unlike what Celtic have done previously? So did it just seem like a low risk one for you? That seems to be the phrase that a lot of the pundits used this week.
Yeah, I think it'll be the easiest contract negotiations the Celtic board have ever had, and they would want him to stay in a supportive role rather than a first team role. I don't think James would have been difficult to deal with. He's keen to be a one club man. They don't get too many of them nowadays, Gordon. Neil Lennon gave him his debut back in 2010. I did a game for SuperScoreBoard earlier this season, actually when Wilfred Nancy was a manager at Celtic, when they beat Aberdeen at Parkhead on a Sunday afternoon, and James Forrest scored to extend that unbelievable record of scoring for Celtic in each of his 17 seasons in the first team. He is a modern day great of the football club, and sentimentally, I think it would have been sad to see James Forrest go and play somewhere else. He is just a Celtic man through and through, and at this time next year, I am pretty sure Celtic will be trying to find a place at Lennoxtown for James Forrest to stay on if he wants in a coaching capacity.
I think what's maybe been a bit more of an interesting one on this, Hugh, is James Forrest does seem a bit more of a no-brainer in some regards for some people. There was a split on the phones, but it was quickly followed by Liam Scales signed a new contract, Luke McCowan signed a new contract, and lots of Celtic fans understandably are wondering who makes these decisions currently. Is Martin O'Neill doing so? If so, is that right? Does the next manager want Luke McCowan or James Forrest next season? And you can see why that is quite a complex picture.
I think Celtic are all over the place. Martin O'Neill speaking about, yes, you'll be looking at players and offering an opinion, but hold on a moment. Who's the new manager? Who's it going to be? What are you doing about it? Lots of speculation, names thrown into the hat as ever, but what is anybody doing about this? Celtic, with their famous lack of communication, are telling nobody anything. And I think when the captain comes out and speaks about the club having to match his ambition for the future, every Celtic fan should be deeply concerned, because, quite frankly, Martin O'Neill has done a great job in holding the club together in the wake of Brendan Rodgers' departure and then in the wake of the fiasco that was Wilfred Nancy. But he's giving his opinion, and then a manager could come in and say, but I don't want these players. So I think that Celtic are all over the place. They should be doing something now about putting a manager in place. You know, you look down south at Bournemouth, who lose their manager, but he'll be there until the end of the season. However, they've got the next one lined up. Celtic don't appear to have anything lined up other than extended contracts for James Forrest and Liam Scales and Luke McCowan. But the Celtic fans, I think, should be looking at the immediate future and be worried.
You don't need me to tell you, Fraser Wishart, that you always would sympathise with players. They need security, they need to know what the future holds and all that sort of stuff. But it is an interesting situation that Celtic find themselves in, isn't it, where you do just wonder what the sort of plan is going forward.
Yeah, I thought Martin O'Neill made comments in the sort of echoes of Brendan Rodgers about the club or the board. I mean, Martin's sort of saying the board make these decisions ultimately. He was asked his opinion, but ultimately the board make the decisions. So, listen, being a players' rep and PFA Scotland, I'm always delighted when a football player gets a long contract and security and the contract they want. But if in the summertime a new manager comes in and says, I don't actually want these three, then Celtic as a club have got a slight issue. But that's neither here nor there. Good luck to the players, not the players' problem, and I think that's one thing that is a wee bit worrying for supporters, and the James Forrest one, I was saying earlier about James Tavernier, it's not often that you get in your career a chance to choose where you go. James had the same situation, chose to stay, and I think just different dynamic, but he knows he's not going to play every week, but he's quite happy to stay there, loves Celtic, his family are settled, etc. So for James it's brilliant, for Luke McCown it's brilliant, for Liam Scales maybe they do have a new manager lined up behind the scenes and they're speaking to him, but it certainly doesn't sound like it. And I just thought Martin's comments were quite, as he always does, he sends a message in everything he says.
I'm listening to the guys there. I'm surprised, right? And the reason I'm surprised is quite simple. I think Hugh made great points about get a manager into place first. You need to get your structure in. I'm not against the guys getting contracts, right? But you've got three guys there. Let's be honest. What's the hurry tying these three guys down? Because they're not going to any better club than Celtic, right? And if Celtic wants to keep them, then at the end of the season, Celtic can do that business, whatever. James Forrest, I agree with the boys who've been brilliant. James Forrest I've never criticised. The reason James Forrest is getting a new 1-year contract, and I'm with Rodgers, see if they want to keep him there and he deserves to be there and start working through the coaching programmes and everything, great. But it's because of the recruitment that Celtic have went through in the last year or so. They brought in about 3, 4, 5 wingers, spent millions of pounds. They've got Jota, they've got Maeda, they've got Yang on top of that. If this recruitment had been done right, James Forrest wouldn't be given a 1-year contract extension. As much as everybody loves what James Forrest has achieved and what he's done, let's be frank and honest about it here. And I just wondered why you wake up the other day this morning, Scales is getting signed, McCown is getting signed. Is that really important to Celtic just now? I don't think it is, because that's two players. Even if they two decided that somebody come in and they wanted to leave the club, it's not going to hold, no disrespect to them, it's not going to hold Celtic back. Celtic need better players going forward.
There is a fundamental issue here, and as you will know, Gordon, having been a manager, Celtic as a club and the Celtic supporters need to know who's going to be running the show next season. This season is almost over. 17th of May, we're out of here. Celtic then have a cup final, but there are 6 loanees who'll be going. There are players like Balikwisha, £5 million worth, who is there but does not play for Celtic, and it's chaos. And I don't think that Celtic at the moment would inspire confidence in the fans that they know what they're doing at directorial level, because this will forever be remembered as the season of Wilfred Nancy. Somebody thought it was a good idea to appoint Wilfred Nancy. 12 league points and a cup final out the window.
James Tavernier and James Forrest look like the standout stories of the week. Then a late push, a late run last night, a good old ticket allocation debate, debacle, drama, disagreement, call it whatever you will. This one's a wee bit different in the detail. Roger Hannah, give us your take.
I actually didn't see this coming, Gordon. In the immediate aftermath of the trouble at Ibrox in the cup tie, I was of the opinion, you won't see away fans at these fixtures again. But so many people kept telling me, no, it won't affect anything. Rangers will still get the 2,200 for Celtic Park. Celtic will still get their allocation at the corner at Ibrox, and everything will be fine. So it sort of caught me in the hop slightly yesterday. I don't quite know how this is going to pan out in the next few days. I have a vision of Neil Doncaster hiding behind his couch with his fingers in his ears, because ultimately Neil Doncaster and the SPFL subcommittee are going to have to either side with Celtic, no Rangers fans, or side with Rangers and force Celtic to hand over 2,200 tickets for the game. It's a really difficult one. They're both coming at it from very set points of view. Celtic do not want any of the Union Bears. within Celtic Park. Rangers' viewpoint is that each supporter should be treated on their own individual responsibilities, if you like. They won't give tickets to anyone who has caused problems in the past, who is currently facing investigation over what happened at Ibrox, but they don't think that simply being a member of the Union Bears should be enough to preclude you from going to watch Rangers at Celtic Park. Likewise, they don't feel that being a member of the Green Brigade would be enough to preclude you from going to support Celtic at Ibrox. Celtic completely disagree, come at it from a completely different viewpoint. So I don't know how you're going to mediate between these two sides in the very short period of time, Gordon, that you have until this fixture takes place and tickets are being sold for this fixture. I wouldn't like to be in that SPFL subcommittee this week.
Which way do you find yourself leaning, Hugh, in terms of who's right and wrong, if there is such a thing in Glasgow?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. The last game, the cup tie at Ibrox, was squalid and tawdry. Celtic seemed to be of the view that it was entirely the fault of Rangers Ultras, the Union Bears. My understanding is that the Union Bears will get 70 of the 2,200 tickets available. 1%. I also would draw attention to the fact that the first 3 arrests after the game at Ibrox in the Cup were 2 47-year-old men and a 54-year-old man who are not quite in the Ultras category. So I think that Celtic have been a little hasty and a little unnecessary in this. I think 2,200 Rangers supporters, including 70 Ultras. I think that Celtic could accommodate that, look after that with the help of Police Scotland. Everyone can turn and look at Celtic and say, well, you banned the Green Brigade but sold them tickets for Ibrox, and you also brought them back when the league title was within sight, and everyone was sceptical over the reasons that they had done that. I think it's only fair that Rangers get those 2,200 tickets, and I think that Celtic should mediate with the SPFL and put all the cards on the table, and let's have some big grown-up boys out there. This can be solved, and I agree with Roger, it has to be solved on Monday so that we don't have this in the build-up to that game on the 10th of May.
Did Hugh Keevins just become the voice of reason on a subject? I don't know. I'll leave that there for you to decide, because we've got bigger fish to fry. In the meantime, we've got games kicking off very soon indeed, and we'll go back around the grounds next.
The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
In 12 minutes time or so, the post-split fixtures will begin. It's a bit spread out over the weekend, of course, but we do have 2 cracking games in the Premiership down the bottom at 3 o'clock. St Mirren against Livingston, where it's all about relegation for Livingston in terms of when it happens, and for St Mirren, all about can they stave it off. I'm fascinated, Fraser, by this battle to avoid the relegation playoffs, because you can make a really strong case for all of them, I think, to avoid it. There's no one that looks like they're, they've got that bad scent about them that looks like they're in real trouble.
Yeah, I mean, Aberdeen had that look about them a few weeks ago, Gordon, when I saw them playing here, and St Mirren beat them 2-0 and were way ahead of Aberdeen, but Stephen Robinson managed to get that victory against Hibernian last time out, so a wee bit more confidence in Aberdeen's shoes. But yeah, even Dundee above them, they've got the derby tomorrow as well. And if results go, say St Mirren win and Kilmarnock win, and all of a sudden it's a real logjam in that fight for the bottom for the bottom playoff place as well. And sad for Livy. I think today might be the day to go down. I do think Killie might win, and I think St Mirren might win, and it's just going to be so exciting at the bottom. As I said earlier, for us as neutrals, but my goodness, nerve-wracking for players, because jobs are on the line. The players who are out of contract, we're talking about James Tavernier, James Forrest, nice contracts they'll have next season, and good luck to them. But the lads here, some of them might not have a job, if the team gets relegated as well. So sometimes the nerves can jangle a wee bit from this moment in. So I think today is going to be a pivotal day with the result up at Pittodrie and the game here as well. For St Mirren, this game for me will set the tone. If they win this game, I think they'll get a real high from it. And I think Craig McLeish has shown himself to be a very capable coach. I think he's seen things going on during games, and he's changed it at the right times as well. Last week against Celtic, for example, as well. But to get a win that will give them a real lift. But if you lose to Livingston, it would only be their second win of the whole season. That's going to really set alarm bells ringing within St Mirren, and it's going to be a real confidence blow for them. So fascinating few weeks for us, as I say, but nerve-wracking for those involved with the clubs.
And for St Mirren's young goalkeeper, it's been a chaotic week. He is just going to hopefully get his feet up on the bench, enjoy it. Can't have any more injuries in that department, surely.
No, I mean, Grant Tamasevicius, difficult to say sometimes, takes me back to the days when Hearts had about 14 Lithuanians in their teams. It was tough to read it out, but well done to the young man. I mean, imagine that being brought on for your debut in a semi-final against Celtic, and he did well. He couldn't really blame him for any of the goals, but I completely understand why they've gone for Ross Sinclair. A bit more experience. He's played at the top level. He's played for Scotland under 21s, but again, he's not a first choice. He's not that dominant a goalkeeper at times as well, so I can understand why St Mirren have gone for him to bring him in. But the young lad, what a week he's had. 12 months ago I think he was still at school, and now he's got a new contract as well, and by all accounts Jamie Langfield's saying he's got a fantastic future, but needs must, and I can understand completely why Craig McLeod's gone for a more experienced goalkeeper.
Yeah, I wonder about the psychology, the nerves at this time of the season. Dave Galloway, home advantage should be a good thing for Aberdeen. Kilmarnock have been better at home as well than they have on the road, but is it that old cliche that the Aberdeen fans might get a bit nervy today if things don't start the way they want?
I think that could be very much the case if Aberdeen don't get off to a good start. And speaking of the fans, there were over 18,000 of them here for Aberdeen's win over Hibs a couple of weeks ago. A similar crowd is expected here today. Certainly self-belief in the Dons camp. It will be crucial in the 5 remaining games that we have left this season. It was much in evidence against Hibs. Some of the football they played was very pleasing on the eye. Some of the best stuff I've seen them serve up for quite a number of weeks, but that was just one game. The first win since Stephen Robinson came in. Kilmarnock, well, they have improved under Neil McCann. You mentioned the home record there. It's not so long ago that they beat Hearts, but as I've mentioned previously, they failed to win. They've got that abysmal away record. They failed to win in the previous 13 matches on the road. They just must put that right very soon indeed, or they could well be heading for a relegation playoff. However, in this crazy mad world of the Scottish Premiership, who knows what could happen this afternoon.
Right, come on then. You've all been asked every single week who's going to win the league, and you're almost allowed to keep changing your mind because the picture keeps changing. I've got a theory that the next question is every bit as hard, maybe even harder. Who finishes 11th? You need to call it at the beginning of these post-split fixtures.
I'll go Kilmarnock. I think that today St Mirren will beat Livy and Kilmarnock will lose at Pittodrie. That will create a 5-point difference between Kilmarnock in 11th and St Mirren in 10th. And I think with 4 games left, that will be too much. So I'm going Kelly.
He's hopeless at predictions, but he has backed up his theory quite well. I'll concede. Cammy?
Yeah, I'm going to go St Mirren.
Really?
Yeah. I think Kilmarnock are just going to have enough to turn it around. I think they've got the firepower at the top end of the pitch. They've changed their goalkeeper today, Max Stryk, back in goals, obviously after his heart scare. I think it's a big boost for them because he's a good goalkeeper. They need to tighten up the back. Neil McCann knows that. They've got the firepower to win games, and I think St Mirren will just slide down the table.
About a week ago I went for St Mirren. I changed my mind the other day. I went for Kilmarnock because of their away record. If they beat Aberdeen today, I'm going to change my mind there. Okay, I was just really looking at St Mirren, but I'm going to go Kilmarnock.
Okay, Roger, Hannah, you any the wiser?
I just think Kilmarnock as well, I have to say, particularly with that away record. I would expect St Mirren to beat Livy today, don't Kilmar. And if Killie lose up at Pittodrie in the game that Dave Galloway's watching, then 5 points with 4 games to go and everybody playing each other, I think that will just be insurmountable for Killie. So huge day. If they don't win at Aberdeen today, I think they'll finish 11th.
Fraser Wisher, you might need to whisper because you're surrounded by St Mirren fans, unless you're going to tip someone else. Who are you thinking?
I think Killie will end up 11th for the reasons the guys have said. Away record's not great, and also 2 goals a game. I mean, they've lost 65 goals in 33 games. I don't think you can just change that in an instant as well. So for me, I think Killie will drop down into that 11th place. But don't rule out Dundee as well. Dundee maybe just slip into that battle towards the end. But Killie will be 11th.
Cammy, you can't start going, don't rule out Dundee. You either go Kelly or you don't. Hold on a minute then. I'm going Kelly, but don't rule out St Mirren or Aberdeen if they lose today.
He's just covering
Kelly 3 times.
Covering he said Kelly.
Yeah, but he's covering his back.
No, I think that was important because it's funny that nobody is mentioning Dundee when they're very much in that picture.
I totally agree. I think they're in there as well.
Okay, right.
I think they've got too many good players.
Let's leave it for now, and we'll find out very soon how this is going to start heading because the 3 o'clock games get underway next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Hugh Keevins, Gordon Dalziel and Cammy Bell in the studio. Top team round the grounds, and the 3 o'clock game's about to get underway. I was actually considering banning Hugh Keevins from predictions today for a misdemeanour that we will cover in the very near future, but let's keep our powder dry for now. We've only got 3 featured games at 3 o'clock and 1 at 5:30, so we'll limit it to that for your ACA this afternoon. St Mirren Livy, Aberdeen Kilmarnock, Dumbarton East Kilbride and Celtic Falkirk. What are you giving us?
I'm giving you a home win for St Mirren, a home win for Aberdeen, a home win for Celtic, but an away win for East Kilbride at Dumbarton.
I'm going a draw, St Mirren Livy, a draw, Aberdeen Kilmarnock, an away win for East Kilbride and a home win for Celtic.
That's what I was going.
Oh well, that's fine.
I'll change it.
Okay. Why?
No,
because I like to be different.
Come on.
No, because I know your predictions are not very, very good. So what I'll do then is I'll change it and I'll go a shock somewhere in there. I'll go for Livy to shock St Mirren. And the rest the same.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get set for the season with expert pharmacy support.
This is it. If you think it's been a remarkable season up until now, the post-split fixtures begin right now, and it's only going to get more dramatic and chaotic over the next few weeks. We have got no idea who will win the title, and it's not between 2 teams, it's between 3. We've got no idea who finishes in the European places in what order, and we've got no idea who finishes in the relegation playoff spot. So still loads to be settled over the coming weeks, and that is just in the Premiership. Lots to look forward to throughout the divisions as well. So many talking points out there. So
tell him phrase that. We've got no idea. That pretty much covers us.
Absolutely.
I think that's irrelevant.
At Clyde SSB, if you want to get in touch throughout the afternoon, please do, and I will give you the nod a bit later on to let us know your opinions on the phones, whether it is today's football. Oh, we're up and running nice and early as well.
Yes.
That's how we like it.
Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Aberdeen have hit the front very, very early. Aberdeen 1, Kilmarnock 0. Neil McCann was furious when they started so poorly away at Falkirk a few weeks ago. They conceded so early. We'll need to get the stopwatch out because this might be similar. And a Remu low shot, edge of the box, stroked it home, says Dave Galloway. And there we are, Aberdeen 1 up on Kilmarnock already.
That's a calamitous start. The Dazzler and I are both going for Kilmarnock to finish at 11th, and that would not put you off the idea. They don't travel well, that's obvious if you look at the league table, but there's not travelling well and not travelling well, and that's really not travelling well.
They don't travel well and they don't defend well either, and they've been doing that all season. So a disastrous start for Kilmarnock. You go up there, you're looking just to keep it nice and tight for the early stages of the game, feel your way into the game, and yet again, as you mentioned, Gordon conceded early at Falkirk, absolutely collapsed that day as well. So It's
back to the big problem. They concede too many goals.
Far too many goals.
Yeah.
Incredible amount of goals they've conceded, and that's why they find themselves in the position they are, and they need to change that quickly, or they are going to be in that playoff place.
Quite incredible. They get the stopwatch out. First minute of the game, Aberdeen 1, Kilmarnock 0. We had barely even set up the afternoon, and already the Dons are in front. Neil McCann will not be happy.
No, and not what Max Stryk, just back in the team from obviously his illness, his heart problems, and after 1 minute you're picking the ball out the back of the net, so not an ideal start for him.
No, it's a great story though, for the goalkeeper, players who have heart treatment of any description, Cammy, you fear for them, but he's back. And we'll also have to say there are bigger things in life than losing a goal in the first minute, and Max Stryek is living proof of that. But I think if you're at St Mirren, and we all know the logistics of the situation at St Mirren, somebody will be telling somebody who will be telling Craig McLeish Aberdeen are a goal up in Kilmarnock, and that's got to incentivise St Mirren, because if they beat Livy, then they're 5 points away from Kilmarnock if they don't come back against Aberdeen. 5 points, 4 games to go. It's in your hands.
Could be a big change. Could be a big change. But let's not get carried away. We've been in this movie before. You look at Aberdeen off to a good start. Still a lot of football to be played. So I expect more goals up there for Dave, especially Pittodrie. Aberdeen, Kilmarnock. That's not finished 1-0.
Neil McCann started well at Kilmarnock, and I was quite happy with the impact that he and Billy Dodds were having, but it's gone away.
They've been forced into a change as well, Kilmarnock.
Wow.
You ever get that? It feels like your day is unravelling quite quickly.
Most Saturdays.
Jamie
2 o'clock.
Jamie Brandon goes limping off, and Thompson replaces him. So again, 3 minutes in, perhaps.
And again, Jamie Brandon's missed a lot of the season, and he's been really good since he's came back into the team. He's a vital player for Kilmarnock, so that's a big blow, him coming off early in the game, and it's not ideal because all the planning that Neil McCann's went through the week setting up for this game against Aberdeen's absolutely out the window.
Yeah, I agree. But listen, he'll be demanding that fighting spirit, and as I keep going on about it, I'm not confident Aberdeen are going to keep a clean sheet. I think Dave's in for a cracker. He's off and running already, and I think there are more goals there.
Go on then, Hugh, since we've got a little bit of time, do we? Just double checking. Yeah, East Kilbride were looking for the opener. Top scorer in the entire country, John Robertson, but good save by Aidan Rice in that one. Right, let's do this while we can.
The first half teaser with Archiplan Glasgow. Planning permission and building warrant drawings for home extension, conversion or renovation.
I think this is a hard question. Can you name the last ex-Celtic player to have managed each of the bottom 6 teams in the Scottish Premiership? So we know the bottom 6: Dundee United, Aberdeen, Dundee, St Mirren, Kilmarnock, Livy. Who's the last ex-Celtic player to have managed each of those clubs?
That's quite easy. Do you know the answer by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay. Just checking. I'm asking for a friend.
So remind us again of the question once more.
Can you name the last ex-Celtic player to have managed each of the bottom 6 teams in the Scottish Premiership?
I like that. Get your guesses into us at Clyde SSB. If you want to see the question written down, you can see it over there, and then send us one tweet with all 6 names on it at Clyde SSB. So it's one for each of the bottom 6
What's going on with
teams.
goalkeepers, Cammy?
How what's up now?
Former Celtic goalkeeper Conor Hazard, now playing at Plymouth, sent off after 5 minutes.
Moment of madness, it sounds like. Yep.
Well, there you are.
Yeah.
Just wants up the road nice and early.
Aye.
Enjoying the good weather.
End of season.
Up the road, that's a long trip from Plymouth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good point. They're away from home. You've been enjoying the good weather. Is it killing you that you can't get out on the golf course? Your hip still giving you bother, is it?
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Everyone's really worried about you.
I'm hoping to be under the needle by next week.
Under the needle.
And I'm hoping to be back playing in a few weeks' time. It's killing me, it is. I must admit. I've got to say that. I'm going to bed at 6:30. Daylight, sun coming in the window.
So you get a little bit of treatment this week, is it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to manage it, and hopefully
just manage the pain, get through to the end of the season, go again this summer.
Basically get the op done, and away I go, and I'll be back up and running.
So that you can go and see Scotland play Brazil and Miami.
Yeah,
and
nobody holds a good man down for so long.
Samba party.
Hamilton 1, Peterhead 0, Ollie Shaw with the goal there in League 1. Stranraer 0, Stirling Albion 1, Austin Laird with the goal for Stirling Albion. Of course, the lower league's coming to an end, 2 games remaining, hence why we are keeping an eye on East Kilbride today, because remember, if they win and Spartans lose, East Kilbride would win League 2 and get promoted, of course, on our patch here in Glasgow in the West. So it felt like a nice opportunity to send Roger Hannah along in case there is a storyline to be picked up on there. But plenty of football still left to be played. You've got your teaser up and running as well, so you've got plenty of time to get your teeth stuck into that. And it won't be long before we go to Celtic Park, Hugh, get the teams and the build up there, and the post-split fixtures in terms of the title race kicking off.
All manner of interesting developments with regard to Celtic's team news. James Forrest signed a new contract, changed the game against St Mirren in the Cup last Sunday. Will he start? Or will it be Tunekte, who, let's just say, had a difficult day against St Mirren? The captain, Callum McGregor, has entered the spotlight this week because of his comments about Celtic and their level of ambition, or the lack thereof. Callum McGregor would like to lead Celtic to a convincing victory today. They've got a Falkirk side who not only lost to Dunfermline in the Cup last weekend, but they've lost 3 of their best players, including Scott Bain, the goalkeeper. If Celtic don't beat Falkirk at Celtic Park under those circumstances, there's no point in talking about the league.
We don't do this for League 2 very often, but it is the end of the season.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Our featured game, remember, because we're keeping an eye. Will there be a title win for one of our local teams? East Kilbride have hit the front nice and early. That settles the nerves. A great run and cut back from Sean Fagan, and there is Bobby McCluckie with a cool left-footed finish across the keeper. So East Kilbride are doing their bit so far. They do need Spartans to lose at home today, remember, so it does feel like a long shot, but East Kilbride are up and running early on.
That's McCluckie for them, but not McCluckie for Dumbarton.
I like it. You're on for them. Great start for them.
Would you ever go back to Dumbarton? Are you just scarred for life, having been locked in?
I struggle to go back to many grounds, but I'm claustrophobic as well, and sitting there in the dark. And do you know what?
You were in a football stadium.
I was
claustrophobic about that.
In a stand.
I couldn't get out.
An open stand.
You could have walked.
I couldn't get out. I don't care.
You could have walked onto the centre circle, and your claustrophobia would have been no issue.
It's dark. I can't see anything round about me.
You're scared of the dark?
No. I'm in there. I'm locked in. I know in my head I'm locked in. I can't get out.
You're claustrophobic.
Yeah.
So how did you do your Steve McQueen, The Great Escape?
Because I had to phone the Dumbarton manager and ask him kindly to come back and let me out.
Who was the manager at the time?
Jim Duffy.
Oh, was it Duff?
How did you see your phone in the dark?
Lights up, just because you're Nokia doesn't light up. His does.
You know what I
just
mean?
imagine the groundsman comes at 7 o'clock the following morning.
I'm lying halfway.
You're in the centre circle, just rocking back and forward in the fetal position.
I would have been screaming there. There'd have been foxes and everything flying about, wouldn't there?
Oh my word. Right, anyway, see, before we get any further, I can't believe I'm saying this, forget the title race, forget Europe, bottom 6, forget even Gordon Dale getting locked in. We've got important business that we need to take care of. I want to welcome you along to the Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard Court of Arbitration.
I'm loving this afternoon.
Yes. Worrying news has reached my attention on a night. I take one night off, and Hugh Keevins, there are some quite serious allegations being thrown your way. Let me just outline the case to be answered.
Yeah.
The accusation is that you cheated on Beat the Pundit last night, that you shamelessly and recklessly walked into the studio, lifted the answer sheet from the presenter's desk, read the answers, and were caught because of the big cameras that are in the studio to provide us with the live stream. How do you plead?
I plead guilty. I join Gordon Dalziel in the Hall of Shame.
Please.
I have been guilty, like Gordon Dalziel, of reprehensible conduct. And Gordon has a long established track record of cheating at competitions in here, and I have fallen from grace.
I don't side with you on many things, but I don't like how he's trying to drag you down with him.
100%. And do you know what? I can't even defend him, right? Because we could have said it was a mixed up. You maybe just come across the sheet. What happened with Junior? We got his ran along the corridor as quickly as you could before MD could get in. Let's be honest about it. But the big question is, right, are we going to look at evidence from days gone by? Has this been a continuous?
I would say,
are the people out there screaming their heads?
Ladies and
radio?
gentlemen of the jury, I would say I am the man who is constantly reminded of the fact that I believe that Avril Lavigne was Craig Levine's niece. Therefore, that's not the mark of a man with previous convictions.
This is a good point you make. I think it would be remiss of us to not at least look and investigate previous misdemeanours.
I'm right up here with this, because let's tell us, when we get caught, that sometimes I'm okay with this. That there sounds reek of a man who is guilty, right? And the reason I'm saying it is, you ain't going to get in and get every quit, so you got to throw a wee daft one in. Oh, it's Auntie Mary Faye, Craig Levine's family tree. Oh, you're joking, is that wrong? Where he knows the rest of the answers.
Everyone in this building.
Hey, I've been there. It wasn't me. Hey, that's his song, isn't it? Who's the rapper?
Shaggy.
It wasn't me. Wee Shaggy in the corner there. It wasn't me.
Shaggy in the corner.
It wasn't me.
I am interested in the different styles, though. Let's give the man a tiny bit of credit. He's entered his guilty plea. It makes his punishment less severe. He's held his hands up. He's acknowledged his wrongdoing. You would have just denied this. You, even caught red-handed in life, your number one tactic is denial.
Yeah, I would have said that I had stuff in my eyes and everything.
So are you judging him for owning up to this?
Well, he's not got a case.
Neither do you in some of the times when you deny it.
Yeah, but at least I'll stick to my guns and deny it until
you're
the day
listening.
they put me on the ground.
I don't think you're listening. I don't need a case. I have entered a guilty plea. I have admitted to entry to the Hall of Shame. I have admitted to reprehensible conduct. I am not trying to put up a case.
Is this a one-time only, Hugh? This is why Cammy is looking at me, shaking his head all the time, saying, no, this is more than one.
Well, listen, he's come clean. Fair play to him.
What's your punishment?
Well, what I need from you at Clyde SSB is if you could just tweet us your punishment ideas for Hugh Keevins. We're going to have to stop short of jail time because he held his hands up. So if you could tweet me at Clyde SSB and let us know what Hugh Keevins' punishment should be. It was quite funny actually. Hugh and I, Andy Halliday, Scott Allen, we had a wee event at the Drygate last Saturday night, and Hugh was repeating his well-used line now that Celtic have got a 0% chance of winning the league. And members of the audience that day said, surely you do a punishment if it's wrong. And do you know what one was really quite good they come up with? Because not too serious, not too humiliating, not too unrealistic. Someone said they had to spend a week wearing the Martin O'Neill Celtic tracksuit. That was pretty good.
He'd be dressed up.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Like well, what was 001? Remember that
Squid Game when we dressed
Squid
him up.
Game, he looked good in that.
Then someone asked him to do naked star jumps and we had to call it into the night. It got a bit
drew the
weird.
line at that.
But anyway, at Clyde SSB, if you want to tweet
naked star jumps. I'd like to see that for the back view.
Why did you just say that?
To see if we can get right down to the floor and get the arms up.
Oh, his arms, right.
Yeah.
At Clyde SSB, give us your punishments for Hugh Keevins, the beat the pundit cheat that he is. Anyway, we move on, right. We've got goals in the Championship as well. Ross County are 1-up against Morton. Akil Wright with the goal. We wait to see if we've had any real response to that Aberdeen opener. St Mirren have started on top. Livy have actually had a couple of chances as well. Newbley had a shot pushed away by Sinclair Kabongolo, headed straight at the keeper. So remember, Livy are pretty much down. I think it's a weird headspace to be in for a Livy player. Cammy, like, what do you think the psychology of that is? Where does everybody, do you just know you're down, you acknowledge you're down, you don't say it publicly, or what's the...
Yeah, listen, the players will be realistic and they won't stop fighting. They'll want to win games of football. That's natural. You want to go on the pitch and do your best for the club, and again, a lot of these players will be playing for their future, whether that's with Livy in the Championship or it's going to another club. So they've got to put on good performances between now and the end of the season. They'll be going to St Mirren to try and win the game. Of course they will, because they'll want to prolong this relegation as long as they can. But as I say, there's also that element of what happens next season. Where am I playing? Am I playing for Livingston in the Championship, or is it another club I'm trying to impress?
It's funny, you think back to the second 45 minutes at Hampden last Sunday. St Mirren were all over Celtic. Yeah. You and I, Cammy, kept saying Celtic are hanging on here and upgrading it to really hanging on, and in the end they couldn't hang on in regulation time. 2-2. That team surely is capable of beating the bottom club with one win all season long. in Paisley.
Well, that's what's interesting about your predictions, because I'm not trying to be smart here. I can't predict who's going down either. But someone must have said St Mirren, did they? Remind me.
Cammy, yep.
You know, imagine you'd watched that 45 minutes at Hampden last week in the second half, and you say, yeah, that's the team that's going down. But I'm not also, I don't feel confident enough to ridicule you for that shout, because who else? It has to be one of them, and they're all very much in there.
Listen, they've not been great. There's no getting away from it. They haven't been great this season. They've won 7 games all season. That's not a St Mirren team that we normally we see. We're normally a top 6 team, normally certainly challenging for top 6. They're struggling to get any sort of form. But you're right, last weekend, the second half, they were excellent. They were all over Celtic. If that game goes on 10 minutes longer, St Mirren score another goal without going into extra time. So I just feel as if, can they produce that consistent performance? Today's a massive game for them. If they were to get beat today, that could be a hammer blow for the players psychologically.
To be fair to Cammy, I think he's just saying it because he's beloved Kilmarnock. He didn't want.
Is that what it is?
Right. He wants to get back with his shirt and the tie on and got the boardroom. We've worked with many of these guys before. You can read them like a book. But I think you mentioned there that Dundee derby tomorrow is important as well, isn't it? By 5-6 o'clock tomorrow night, you just wonder top and bottom how this league's looking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you change your mind tomorrow night once we see how the results play out.
Thank you.
Not often I would read results out from the lower reaches of English football, but just can you imagine? Roger Hanna put out an interesting scenario here. The last day of the National League season in England today, I don't know if you're aware. So Rochdale against York. Rochdale scored in the 95th minute to go top of the league, and then York equalised in the 103rd minute to leapfrog them and win the title. Can you imagine that happened up here?
I would like to know the circumstances of how the game would go
last weekend as well. I think one of them scored to keep it alive for today as well, so I'm not sure. It was literally 90 plus 6 or something certainly the last round of fixtures that one of them scored late on. It's just incredible because, as you say, it's over 100 points for each.
What if something like that happens here on the final day of the season?
Well, you realise that a week tomorrow will be 40 years to the day since Hearts had the league won with 7 minutes left to play at Dens Park and lost 2 goals and lost the league with it. 40 years ago to the day, a week tomorrow.
And by the way, I shudder to think there's actually a row over the York goal because there's a suggestion that it didn't cross the line.
Wow.
Listen, we all like a bit of drama and excitement, but I don't think Scotland can handle that.
No. Final day drama is the best in the world. He's a player, only if you come out in the right end of it, isn't it? You must have been there yourself. Have you never been a title challenge right at the end? Or
no, again, probably the ones that I've been involved in is Celtic won the league against Kilmarnock, absolutely scudded us. I want to say 6-0.
Were you the goalkeeper?
Yes, and then again Rangers won the title at Rugby Park as well. So they're the two that I've been. And again, the Rangers.
You were involved?
Yeah, I played. That was the win that.
There's a common denominator here.
I know. Conceding more goals than Kilmarnock this season. That was the one that Lafferty scored the hat-trick early on. They were 3-0 up, 10 minutes to go. But I think if Rangers dropped points that day, then Celtic won. I don't know if they were away to Motherwell or somewhere.
No, they were at home that day.
Well, they at home, were they? If Rangers had dropped points, then Celtic won, then they would have obviously took over and won the league. But yes, game was over in 10 minutes.
A good and important start for Ross County. 2-0 up now at home to Morton. Jordan White with the goal.
Airdrie at home to Ayr, am I correct in saying that this afternoon?
That leapfrogs them, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's tight down there as well.
It's a big goal.
Rafe
it's a big
missed
result.
out last night. No chance of the playoffs.
Fair play to St Johnstone for going in the lash for 3 days and still winning the game last night.
Honestly, in the old days, that was the way to do it.
Fair play to the manager. He came out and basically said that after the game. He said, "Look, boys have been out enjoying themselves. Of course they have."
I don't think I think he would have been chief among them. I think that's absolutely why.
Which, listen, fair play to them. They've worked really hard this season, got it done during the week, and then he's allowed them to go and enjoy this, and they still win the game comfortably.
I heard that he was really, really enjoying himself.
Was he? I love that.
That's great.
I like that. Why not?
No, listen,
Life's
I'm not judging
hard, and if you get a little bit of success, get out there and make the best of it.
You always see him pictured in pubs in Perth quite a lot after games and stuff, which is great that he's involved with the club and the community.
That's one way of looking at it. It's a really positive spin, that, isn't it, Hugh? You go out in the lash, and Cammy says it's just great to see him involved in the community.
I mean, he has assimilated himself into the Perthshire community. They love him. He's successful. He's won the league, promoted to the Premiership. So, can a man not have a wee night out?
Oh, of course he can.
Things are looking better for Kilmarnock. They're playing a bit better now. They've hit the bar, Greg. There was a header from a free kick, so Kilmarnock hitting the bar. There was then a claim just before that, though, because the ball hit Robbie D's hand. No VAR intervention, no penalty, on we go. So it was a nightmare start, really, for Kilmarnock, going a goal down up at Aberdeen very quickly. They seem to have settled, but they do still trail. I love Roger Hannah's commitment to the League 2 title race, the League 2 correspondent, because he's not only content with bringing us the score update from Dumbarton East Kilbride, which is East Kilbride are winning the game. He's telling us that in the other game, the result that they need,
Spartans,
Mark McNulty's off injured for Spartans, and it's a big setback for them. There is no stone unturned with this guy.
It's good. He's got his edge of your seats.
He's the president of the Scottish Football Writers Association. He has an office to stand up to.
And I'm looking forward to joining him this year. Is this his first year?
Yes.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Sunday on the 17th.
Do you know what Gordon Dale told me? That Roger Hannah invites him to his table every year for the Football Writers Awards, and he says he's not usually that bothered, but he's going to go this year because he reckons now that Roger's the president, his table will be in a better place. It'll be nearer the front, and he'll get looked after better. Shameful on it. How shameful is that?
Oh, I know.
And they got a subway the last time just to get to the table. But now that we're important, and
oh no, I've got bad news for you.
What is it?
Roger's got 2 tables, and you're in the B table.
I can imagine.
You're in the reserves.
Love it. Oh, love it.
Anyway,
and Roger won't even be beside you because he'll have to be on the top table as El Presidente.
Anyway, don't fight, guys. Fraser's big do's first.
Oh yeah.
The PFA Awards is first.
The way he got ripped into me the other day there.
That's next weekend.
I hadn't answered, and I got a real...
Did you not? That is poor from you.
No, it's not. I totally forgot.
RSVP, please.
Yeah, but the Friday, and I completely...
that's part of it.
I completely forgot, and I got a sort of a message from Fraser just reminding me that my dinner was been getting removed from the table as I speak.
It's actually remarkable that he still invites you after you left him to go and see Take That, was it, a couple of years ago?
Yeah, but he wants me back. I was do you like that one?
I did.
But Fraser and I have been too much friends to fall out over that.
Good.
Yeah, we have shared a lot of days in this studio, and I had to listen to that.
Queen's Park 0, Dunfermline 1. Jeremiah Mullen with the goal. Oh, and there we are. It's a bad day for Airdrie, because we mentioned Ross County are in front, and Rangers loanee Leon King has put Ayr in front at Airdrie.
Well, with Ayr, and Scott Brown will testify to this, with Ayr you never know what's around the corner. So they may be up now, but that's no guarantee of anything come 5 o'clock.
It's a big goal though. Changes everything at the bottom of that table. Ross County given a lifeline at this moment if they can get the result, going into the last game on Friday night, where they're all held on Friday night, and try and just get this out of this terrible situation, because they've been in that position for so long now. Just incredible that they're sitting bottom of the league.
Okay, remind us of your teaser, please, Hugh. You may have cheated at Beat the Pundit last night, but we still trust you with the first half teaser, so on you go.
Can you tell me the last ex-Celtic player to have managed each of the bottom 6 teams in the Scottish Premiership? Last ex-Celtic player to have managed Livy, Kilmarnock, St Mirren, Dundee, Aberdeen, Dundee United.
Do you know what? Loads of people are really close here. We just need the full list to all come together at Clyde SSB. So we need one for all 6. If you want to win, it needs to be quicker than everybody else. David sent one in. I think this might be a wrong one that we can help people out with if they're still struggling. He said Mark Burchell for Livingston.
Now Mark did manage Livingston, but think time frame
so
here.
There's someone else after that, clearly. Right, okay, I like it. I like what you're thinking there. What else have we got in terms of wrong answers? Let me have a look, because remember, it's one from each of the bottom 6. But is it too much of a clue to say that one name might feature twice? Not worth considering.
I cannot possibly speak.
Okay. Right, at Clyde SSB, that is for the teaser. If you want to keep your guesses coming, we'll see who wins that one before half time, and then we'll do old Who Am I a bit later on. Stanger with a great tackle there for Kelly to stop Olasanya. He was about to pull the trigger in the box. It would have been a real body blow if Kilmarnock had fallen 2-0 behind, especially after recovering somewhat within the game. But George Stanger doing his bit, and it does remain Aberdeen 1, Kilmarnock 0.
Well, tense afternoon there, and clearly still tense in Paisley, half an hour in now, and Livy May have had only one win to their credit the whole season long, but Big Marv loves a draw, and he's had 4 out of the last 6 games.
The thing is, see if you just do this maybe if he gets another crack at the top flight, you could adopt this strategy, because if you do it from the first game and just draw every single week, you'll get 38 points and you'll stay up.
Yeah.
There you go. It seems like a good plan, but you can't.
I'm with the guys. I think that obviously once the dust is settled and finalised that they're down, I think he deserves a crack at it. He's been in there under difficult circumstances. He has improved, and I hate that when everybody goes, "Oh, he's made them better. He's made them." You've got to remember, David done a great job at Livingston. Do you know what I mean? It was just, he went through that sort of a situation where the players they didn't get the results and things were going against them. But I think Big Marv deserves another crack at the whip for a championship.
That's if he wants another go.
Yeah. Why would he not?
Well, he might have seen enough to think, not sure, I'll go elsewhere.
I think he would want to go. I think he's done a really good job since he's came in. Livingston are back to being a team that are difficult to beat. I know there's too many draws in there, but you can't change everything overnight. He was never ever, for me, going to be able to turn that around, to be perfectly honest. But it's probably the positive between now and the end of the season for Livingston, that they've got a guy in there that doesn't know if he's going to be the manager or not next season, so he's trying to get the results to prove that he's the man to then bring them back up if they do go down.
Got a couple of issues though going forward. If you look at the recruitment in recent seasons, signed a lot of players. Some have already come and gone within that time, and some remain, don't contribute in the way that you would want them, and are actually long-term contracts, a couple of them. So there's a bit of tidying up to be done there.
Yeah, but again, it's for me, it's an opportunity. Yes, there'll be players that potentially that Marvin's got under contract that he doesn't see a future for them in his style of play or the way he wants to approach his championship, and he'll have to try and wheel and deal to move them on. But it's an opportunity for him to get players in that he wants. If he gets a job, the summer's a big summer for him, big summer of recruitment, getting the right type of player in, because we all know the championships are really difficult league to get out of. St Johnstone have done fantastic bouncing straight back, but that's a difficult task. So if Marvin gets a job, he's got a big job on his hands.
I think the championships get more competitive. I've got to say, you look at Mark, and I know we have a laugh and a joke, but what a job he's done this year. Absolutely brilliant. You wouldn't want to play them in the playoffs over 2 legs. Arbroath have been outstanding.
Dunfermline.
I think they'd be a wee bit disappointed to finish below Arbroath, if I've got to be honest with you. But the icing the cake for them is the Scottish Cup final. They are in the playoffs. I look at even Raith Rovers will strengthen. You looked at Ross County. I think a lot of us said Ross County is the favourites.
Well, they can't be as bad next season if they stay up, can they?
No.
I'm looking at Dunfermline. They're in the Scottish Cup final against Celtic, and as of 3 o'clock this afternoon, 27 points adrift of St Johnstone, the team who were at the top.
It was a poor start though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And again, listen, Dunfermline are we there. They could end up having an incredible season if they were to manage to get themselves up through the playoffs, and they've got themselves to a Scottish Cup final. That's just an incredible season for Neil Lennon and Dunfermline. So it's still there for them.
It's a mountain to climb, mate. And the reason I'm saying that, not because of the players and the manager and everything, you look, if you're in that fourth, you've got a lot of games before you get to the 11th.
Done it twice and beaten the final twice.
There you go. So
it's hard. No, it is. It's hard going.
There's no doubt that it's hard going, and plus the fact you've got the cup final.
Yeah.
So it would be a massive fast for them to do that.
Free kick Livy, good position after Gogic was booked for a foul on Stevie May. May taking the free kick himself, but firing just wide. So it does remain goalless between St Mirren and Livingston. Aberdeen still 1-up thanks to a very early opener against Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock have steadied themselves, but it remains 1-0. And we do have a featured League 2 game as we keep an eye on whether a title can be won. The only title wrapped up so far in Scotland is the Championship, which will come next. East Kilbride are winning away at Dumbarton, but remember, Spartans would need to lose at home to Elgin, and I think it's still goalless there. Elsewhere in League 2, Clyde 2, Annan 0. Cammy, I'm afraid to tell you, Scott Williamson.
Yeah, Annan's season's over.
Annan's season was over in August.
Now we
oh, you owe me a dinner, don't you worry about that.
Alright, is it time to cash in pre-season betting?
Yes.
Which was it again? Remind us of the stakes.
I took East Kilbride to finish above Annan in the league for a little meal and a couple of bottles of red.
It was really outweighed the bet, wasn't it, really,
I was
to be honest?
Say, it's a bit of a safe bet for you.
I gave him first choice.
No, you never.
Yeah, you did. I gave you first choice. I says you pick. I'll tell you what, look, you're talking about, did you say East Kilbride, if it doesn't win it today, they can win it next week against Clyde at home? Clyde, they're battered in 2 against Annan already. They're sitting there, in 3rd spot? That'd be a nervy East Kilbride game. But I think they might. Could they get the job done today?
Well, Spartans would need to lose, and it is level at the moment. Remind us of that teaser again, Hugh, if you can.
Can you tell me the last ex-Celtic player to have managed each one of the bottom 6 teams in the Scottish Premiership?
It's a good question. At Clyde SSB, you can see another wrong one coming in from Grant, who wants to suggest that the last St Mirren manager was Alan Stubbs.
No.
You can see the thinking. Not far off.
Stubbsy was elsewhere.
There we go. Liverpool 1, Palace 0. If the English Premier League is your thing, Alexander Isak with the goal there.
Well, it just shows you the club at Liverpool, they've had a peculiar old season. Arne Slot under pressure. Andy Robertson and saying that he's going at the end of the season. Mo Salah's going at the end of the season. But Liverpool will have to do a Celtic in the summer. They will really need to recruit well.
I'll give you any of the big stories from down there that you need to know. There aren't many that will overtake us today because we've got big games, and looking forward to not too far away from heading over to Celtic Park for the first of our previews there. Falkirk the visitors today as the top 6 begin their post-split fixtures. Of course, Falkirk, they will have designs on catching Hibs. Still possible.
Yeah, and again they'll be looking to react from such a huge disappointment. There's no getting away from that. The last weekend, getting beat by Dunfermline on the day, and I think just the performance, everything about the game. John McGlynn obviously described it as rubbish, but it was the result that mattered. They deserved for their overall season to get in a final, because they've been excellent for so long, but Dunfermline pipped them to it. But they'll be looking for a reaction today at Celtic Park, whether they get it or not.
Sure, they're gonna ask for
I think so as well.
I know what Gordon's saying about catching Hibs, because Hibs have got a brilliant game tomorrow. Derby, can't wait for that one. But great. I think there's too many points here. I don't think they're going to close that gap.
Mind you take out Scott Bain and the other players from that Falkirk team, and you wonder about the psychological reaction to having an awful cup semi-final.
Is a season over? Is that what you're saying, Hugh?
It had the implosion was so great last weekend. I thought that they got to carry that into these last 5 games, and I'm really not.
I spoke to
confident.
two different Falkirk players this week, and who answered almost identically when I said, was John McGlynn raging it last week, and they said, nah, not angry, just disappointed. So much worse, as everybody knows. But on that, I wonder if we know what a standard setter he is and how detailed he is. If there's one manager in the league that you wouldn't think he would allow the season to just peter out.
John
Might be
McGlone.
him.
Yeah, 100%. I really don't see it. I think it's hard psychologically for the players to get over that disappointment, but they need to, and that's the manager's job, is to move that on and put it in the past. And you've got 5 games to go and get results for your fans, finish the season the way they should be as well, because they've been so good for so long. They've been a real credit to the league this season. So it would be a shame for them just to peter out and be a disappointing end to the season. So
post-split, Cammy, it's all about the consequences of your own actions. Imagine Celtic tonight not winning that game.
Not disastrous.
And Hearts win at Easter Road tomorrow. If Falkirk were to win at Celtic Park, and I do understand it's a long, long shot, but if they did, and Hearts won tomorrow, 6 points between Celtic and Hearts. At that point, I begin to look a smart guy.
That takes you back to your family days, doesn't it? I'm not angry with you. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
It's not the ones you want to hear. No more goals going in to tell you about at the moment. Stephen Robinson not really impressed with what he's seeing, though. Kilmarnock very much on top, despite being a goal down. A couple of quick corners, a shot over from the edge of the box. So Aberdeen have been unable to build on that early lead. And the encouraging thing for Neil McCann is that it doesn't seem to have rocked his side. But I suppose at this stage of the season, more than any, it's just about what that scoreboard says at the end of the game, rather than how you did to get to that point.
Results is all that matters for Kilmarnock going forward. Again, it's positive that they have reacted in a good manner, because again, we mentioned and referenced the Falkirk game where there was that huge collapse when they conceded that goal so early on in the game. But yeah, they need to get a goal back. They're desperate on points. It would be such a disappointment to go up to Aberdeen and lose the game, and it's huge for Aberdeen though. This is a big game. I feel as if they get 3 points today, it takes them away from any sort of relegation battle. I feel as if it would be far too much for Kilmarnock to certainly catch in Aberdeen.
Well, for all the focus on who's going to get in the relegation playoffs, what about the teams that they might meet? We now know St Johnstone have done it automatically. Partick Thistle have pushed them all the way, and they will go into it with a bit of encouragement from a good season, knowing that they're going to finish second. They're away at Arbroath today and it's 0-0, so 38 minutes gone, we've not really mentioned it, and that's why, because very little happening there. Is that, again, is it now, try and manage it, or you want to give them with a bit of momentum, a bit of form? No,
I know what you're saying, but I just think that he's had too many injuries to key players. I know that getting in with a little bit of form, everybody thinks that's the way to do it. I would rather get in with a full squad of players who's been over the course and distance of this season and what they've achieved, because let's be honest, they have been absolutely brilliant, especially at Firhill. They were unlucky in the Cup against St Mirren as well. So me personally, I think the most important thing for him is, see if you can just limp over now and keep everybody as fit as
he wants to keep everyone fit. It's a difficult one for Mark, because they'll get the period where they're not playing for a sort of 10-day period, and how do you manage that? Do you give them days off? And it's the end of the season as well, so where do players' minds go if you get days off? So I feel as if the finishing in that second position does cause problems as well, whereas the other two are going to be consistently playing. I get what you say, that it eventually catches up on you when you play that Premiership team that's sitting second bottom, because you're all out on all your energy. But it's a difficult one for Mark to manage.
I always like it when you get to this stage in the season, you look at the farewell tours that may be going on. Andy Robertson has scored, doesn't score many, hasn't, over his long illustrious Liverpool career. That might be the last one, and certainly a good chance of it being the last one at home. Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 0, and the Scotland captain just setting himself up to lift the World Cup in a couple of months' time. He has scored for Liverpool today.
The fascination is, where does he go next? I know that Celtic fans would love to think that he would go to the club who turned him down when he was a kid, but I think that's just too steep a fall for Andy Robertson. This is a Premiership player. Tottenham would take him in a heartbeat, and others will feel the same. I'm not sure that he would see Celtic as the right place for the next place.
That's if Tottenham stay as a Premier Club team.
Yeah, but there are others in England who appreciate just how good he is.
Yeah, he's been a terrific player, let's not be kidded here. He's going out in a high with Liverpool, and he will certainly not be short of offers.
No, again, he's been absolutely brilliant for such a long period of time at a top club. Won so many trophies and top trophies as well. So as you say, Daz, he's not going to be short of offers. He'll get the pick of where he wants to go, and he fully deserves that as well.
And when he does win the World Cup, maybe there'll be bigger offers come in.
Of course there will.
You never know.
Yeah.
See Scott McTominay doing great things again last night for Napoli. Nice to see. Hopefully some of them coming to.
I've never seen a move work out so well for one man.
Yeah.
He goes to another country, learns the language, adopts the culture,
home of the pizza,
looks $1 million in the process,
and
€1 million.
They win the league. He's already got a shrine in Glasgow or a tenement wall. I'm sure there'll be one in Napoli.
It's good though. It's good for Scotland. Again, McGinn's came back from his injury. He's been absolutely flying since he came back from his injury. Real good form. McTominay's in good form. Robertson's obviously playing and going to hopefully finish the season on a high. So it's good for Scotland. They're all in good places.
Let's hope that continues for the next couple of games. No more to tell you about in the Scottish Premiership or beyond. East Kilbride have hit the bar. A Jack Leach overhead kick, says Roger Hanna. What about your teaser, Hugh? Let's round that off if we can.
Okay.
The first half teaser with Archiplan Glasgow. Planning permission and building warrants drawings for home extension, conversion or renovation.
I asked you to name the last ex-Celtic player to have managed each of the bottom 6 teams in the Scottish Premiership. It wasn't Mark Burchill at Livingston, it was Kenny Miller at Livingston.
You forgot about the little spell for... No, you Gordon Dale got it, okay, on you go, sorry.
It was the late great Tommy Burns at Kilmarnock. It was Jim Goodwin at St Mirren. Stephen Presley at Dundee, still there. Barry Robson managed Aberdeen. And Jim Goodwin not only managed St Mirren, Dundee United. He's there.
I had to explain that to Cammy.
Well done if you got it right. Gordon Dale's punching the air, but unfortunately we've got video footage of you looking at the sheet as well.
It's Shuggy showed me.
Just like Hugh Keevins. So there we go. Well done if you got it right. Sean Grantham was third fastest. Well done to you, Sean. Greg's Gardens got them all right, second fastest, but the winner was Alan Devine. Well done to you, Alan. We'll do a Who Am I a bit later on in the show and see who can win that one as well. But well done to you all. I think it was, I'm calling it gentle. I think loads of people got that right. And
I'm actually taken aback by the Pittodrie and St Mirren because...
That low key?
Yeah, I mean, Aberdeen scored in the first minute and that's it. And St Mirren are playing a team who've got one win to their name all season long. As I say, they had an outstanding 45 minutes against Celtic in the Cup last Sunday. And 0-0.
It just shows you the nervous times. It's so important to get 3 points. And I still say, and I said it from the first whistle, that Aberdeen will get more goals with Kilmarnock. I don't know where it'll go, but there'll be more goals there. Second half.
Well, it will be the second half because they've clearly run out of ideas. First half.
Half-time whistles are starting to go. I can see them go down the divisions. There'll be more stoppage time in Paisley. Ryan McGowan's been down for a bit. There was a minute added on, so that will stretch that one out, you would imagine. He's back up now, so maybe Pittodrie does finish quicker, but there was a few minor stoppages there earlier on. So again, we'll keep an eye out. As soon as the half-time whistles go, we'll get round the grounds and bring you everything you need to know.
I didn't even know that the Bartons ground was called the Marble Coaches Stadium. Whatever happened to the great old days of Boghead?
Oh, Boghead was brilliant.
Yeah.
What was it called when they originally moved? Yeah, Boghead.
Alright, okay.
Yeah.
What was your favourite ground that's no longer here or no longer in the kind of way that it used to be?
Muirton Park.
You liked that?
Loved Muirton.
Better than McDermott Park?
Oh, my back garden is, and I've not even got a back garden, is better than that. I love Muirton Park, big pitch. I loved it.
I loved Kilbowie.
Oh yeah, Kilbowie. Yeah, won the league there.
Sitting there with Billy Connolly, watching the Bankies go up one Saturday.
Where did it go wrong for you? So you used to spend Saturdays with Billy Connolly, and now you've come down the comedy ladder ever so slightly to him.
Billy left. We went to Florida, and I wanted to stay with the Daz.
Understandable. Educate me geographically from where I'm sitting right now. Where was Kilbowie Park?
9 Iron across the road.
At the top of the shopping centre, basically.
Right, so across the road.
Yeah, shopping centre. Yeah,
right.
They called it the first all-seater stadium, but it was just planks, basically.
If you seen the dressing room, you get 2 at a time. It was Noah's Ark. The first 2 in, right? Goalkeeper on the right back. Right, number 3, number 4 now.
I'm getting very specific instructions from producer Ryan. Maybe this says more about him than anything, that his first go-to was McDonald's drive-through at the roundabout. He says is where Kilbowie Park was. Next to the Aldi and the bingo behind the police station.
That's it.
Okay, right. I know where you are. That's enough detail for now. I've got it. Good. Consider me educated. Right, we must have the half-time whistles. Must be going. Yes, Dave Galloway, they've both got one. Fraser Wishart was just about the first through. Fraser?
I was the first through. It's St Mirren 0, Livingston 0. Not a classic, been a bit of a frustrating 45 minutes for St Mirren, and supporters plenty of possession. Played some nice football, but haven't really looked at score. Had a few decent chances, but none you would say was an absolute stick on. And Livy been well organised at the back as you expect. And a few decent flashes on the break. Young Lewis Smith has been particularly dangerous on the right hand side. The Saints started well, but it's Livy with the first threat on goal. 8 minutes, Joel Newbley cross shot was pushed away by Debutant keeper Ross Sinclair from that corner. Kabangolo then saw his header straight at the keeper. It was a comfortable save. Similar's response was swift. A great run by left wing back Declan John. He's cleaned through. His shot was deflected into the side netting. From that corner, Alex Gogic header was onto the roof of the net. But for all the possession, tidy football, St Mirren couldn't really create a clear chance till Jonah Young, about 22 minutes gone, made space on the edge of the box. Fierce left foot shot on the angle was pushed away by Jerome Prior at his post. His fans were a wee bit quiet, the home fans, looking for a spark from their team, and they got that in the 36th minute when Jerome Prior kept the scores level with a brilliant save. A Campbell cross to the back post, really close range. Richard King got really good contact on his volley, but somehow the keeper would go back across him, and somehow he got a hand to the ball to keep out, and it was clear. The Younger then got his head to another deep John cross, but the angle was too much, and Prior saved once again. Then the keeper made a similar save to stop a Declan John shot. The angle just too much, and the keeper at his post managed to push it away. You get a feeling one goal might just be enough to win this one. It's deadlock here at half time. St Mirren 0, Livingston 0.
Well, hopefully for a more dramatic second half in front of goal. What about Dave Galloway at Pittodrie, Dave?
Yeah, Aberdeen 1, Kilmarnock 0 at the interval. Gordon, a dream start by Aberdeen, who scored in the first minute. Some neat build-up play. Armstrong intelligently laying the ball off to Aremu, who shot from the edge of the box, was deflected into the bottom corner of the net. Just after that, another blow for Kilmarnock, with Brandon limping off, injured but after early dawn's dominance, playing some really nice passing football, but also varying play by not being afraid to go long. After all that, Killy came right back into things. Tishbola's shot was charged down, and the same player crashed the header off the bar from Thompson's free kick. Hugh Gill heading the rebound over, but it's been like an Achilles heel for Aberdeen this season. Very susceptible to conceding goals from set pieces. They were lucky to get away with that one. At the other end, Olisanya was set to pull the trigger inside the danger zone, but Stanger put in a brilliant tackle inside that box. The visitors, they were looking a threat for sure. They'd come right back into it, like I say, and from a corner kick, Klischenko, he was given time and space. He was free on the edge of the box. Really poor marking by Aberdeen, but he could only succeed in blootering the ball way over the crossbar. The hosts have looked good coming forward, but they've not created nearly enough, and they couldn't build on that magnificent start to this game. Overall, in the first half, it's been pretty even Stevens, and plenty to play for after the interval. It's Aberdeen 1, Kilmarnock 0.
OK, we're keeping an eye on League 2 as well, because the title could be won today by a team right on our patch. If East Kilbride win and Spartans lose, East Kilbride will win the league. A lot still has to happen before then, of course. What about the update from Roger Hannah?
Yeah, East Kilbride are doing their part of the thing this afternoon. Gordon Dumbarton 0, East Kilbride 1 at the break, and it's really been one-sided fair. Mick Kennedy's side really well on top for the first whistle. John Robertson's left foot shot from the corner of the box after just 4 minutes brought out a spectacular diving save by the young Dumbarton goalkeeper Aidan Rice on loan from Celtic. But Kilby did go ahead in 9 minutes. A rampaging run from right back by Sean Fagan. He looked up, a great cut back to pick out the left winger Bobby McCluckie, and the on loan Hearts player left foot finished back across goalkeeper Rice for 1-0. And it's really just been a case of could the second goal come. Jack Leach, the captain, had a run into the box in 18 minutes. His shot blocked away to safety. Then in the half-hour mark, another terrific run up the left-hand side by McCluckie, and then Connor Young, the centre forward, just inches away from reaching it inside the 6-yard box. Robertson then flashed a right foot shot wide of the near post from the edge of the box in 39 minutes, and McCluckie then missed a similar chance to the one he scored in 41 minutes. Ball to the back post, it just gets stuck under his feet, and Dumbarton managed to clear it to safety. Minute before the break, Jack Leach again with another chance for East Kilbride. An overhead kick inside the 6-yard box, crashed back down off the bar and away to safety. At Spartans, it's still Spartans 0, Elgin 0. So as it stands, Gordon, East Kilbride are 3 points and 5 goals better off than their title rivals. It could be done this afternoon. At the break, Dumbarton 0, East Kilbride 1.
So that's your picture at half time. Just the 3 featured matches for us, 2 in the Premiership, 1 in League 2, but the top 6, the title races post-split fixtures are not too far away. 5:30 Celtic Park for the game against Falkirk. So we'll take a look at all the half-time scores, and we're not too far away from building up to that one as well.
And your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half time in the 3 o'clock games across the country. Just the 2 of them in the Scottish Premiership, both in the bottom 6 as we start the post-split fixtures. At the break it sits Aberdeen 1, Kilmarnock 0 and St Mirren 0, Livingston 0. Celtic against Falkirk is a 5:30 kick-off. In the Championship, Airdrie 0, Ayr United 1, Arbroath 0, Partick Thistle 0, Queen's Park 0, Dunfermline 1 and Ross County 2, Greenock Morton 0. In League 1, East Fife 0, Inverness Cally Thistle 0, Hamilton Accies 1, Peterhead 0, Kelty Hearts 0, Cove Rangers 2 and Queen of the South 0, Montrose 1, Stenhousemuir 0, Alloa Athletic 0. In League 2, Clyde 2, Annan 0, Dumbarton 0, East Kilbride 1, Forfar 2, Edinburgh City 0, Spartans 0, Elgin City 0 and Stranraer 0, Stirling Albion 1. That is your half-time picture, and we'll get back around the grounds ahead of the second half.
Changes in sexual performance are more common than most people realise, and support doesn't need to feel awkward. With MedExpress, everything happens privately online. Start by completing a short consultation reviewed by UK-registered clinicians. If eligible, treatment is delivered discreetly to your home, with ongoing support whenever you need it. You're not alone in this. Visit medexpress.co.uk/podcast to learn more.
Thank you all so much for being here at our wedding. I can't believe I get to spend the rest of my life with the woman of my dreams. Speaking of dreams, have you ever dreamed of tasting all the colours of the rainbow? Because that is exactly what you get with Skittles. 5 bold fruit flavours in every pack. Lemon, orange, lime, strawberry and blackcurrant. They're chewy, they're colourful, they're perfect. Just like my wife. So thank you for coming, and remember to buy Skittles.
Shamelessly promote the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
3, 2, sun. EasyJet's Big Orange Sale is now on, with up to £400 off package holidays and up to 20% off flights. Book now at easyjet.com. Get out there. Selected dates and flights. Sale ends 5th of May. Holidays minimum spend and hassle protected. T's and C's apply.
Hugh Keevins, Cammy Bell and Gordon Dalziel are in the studio. The top team are around the grounds, and in fact we've already kicked off in the game between St Mirren and Livingston, trying to get Fraser Wishart a goal in the second half. Aberdeen Kilmarnock is our other game in the Premiership. It's 1-0 to Aberdeen in that one. We're keeping an eye on the League 2 title picture, because there is a scenario where East Kilbride could win it today. They need to win, which they're doing. Spartans need to lose, which they're not. And of course we're not far away at all from Celtic against Falkirk. So let's get these second halves up and running.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get set for the season with expert pharmacy support.
Already getting some goals early in the second half, not in our featured matches. Queen's Park 0, Dunfermline 2. Chris Kane and Stranraer 1, Stirling Albion 1. He's our favourite Stranraer player just because we like his song. Darren Lang with the goal, who's also Mark Wilson's son's school teacher or something.
Yeah.
What was the link? There you go.
Yeah.
We've got you all covered for all the stuff you never needed to know. Stranraer 1, Stirling Albion 1, Queen's Park 0, Dunfermline 2. So Dunfermline ticking along as they get everything about them now. Well, I was going to say all about the cup final. They do have the playoffs to worry about as well.
Of course, but it's such a Hollywood story. Martin O'Neill versus Neil Lennon. I can hear Laurie from Denniston dialing already about Neil Francis Lennon and Martin O'Neill. And the way things have gone for Celtic this season, they shouldn't be too dismissive of Dunfermline's chances either. Need to pay attention. But I'm looking forward to hearing the Celtic team news because it's so intriguing. Will Iheanacho start? He assured Martin O'Neill he was fully fit. Martin O'Neill, in not so many words, said, I don't believe him. So is he going to start? Will James Forrest start after signing his contract? And could it be a comeback for Alistair Johnston? How badly have Celtic missed him? And Callum Osmond, last seen scoring a goal that defeated Rangers in a cup tie, and then suffering a horrible injury, out for months, but apparently could play some part in tonight's game.
I'll tell you what, let's go to Celtic Park for our first visit of the afternoon. We're not too far away from team news, but before that we need the scene to be set, and who better to do it than Alison McConnell. What are we looking forward to today, Alison?
Hi Gordon, how are you? Well, excuse me, it's a beautiful Celtic Park surface. I'm just watching Falkirk come out, take a look around. The place is bathed in sunshine. A big crowd expected here, and still real expectation on the Celtic side despite the chaos of the last couple of months across this campaign. But this is an afternoon now that gives them the chance to go and put a little bit of pressure on Hearts and Rangers ahead of tomorrow's games. And you know, Celtic, they can't go top regardless of what happens this afternoon, given the goal difference disparity between themselves and Hearts. But the psychology of going level in points with Derek McInnes's side before the Edinburgh derby would certainly be interesting. And really, it's probably been a week for Celtic that maybe encapsulates this season. There were echoes of Brendan Rodgers as Callum McGregor publicly questioned the ambition of the club, while the new contract signed by the trio of Liam Scales, Luke McCowan and James Forrest were not universally applauded by the Celtic support. Adding to that, Bernard Ponsonby's comments that were leaked from a Celtic Foundation dinner, and it have all added to the noise of a campaign that has been particularly fractious across this season. But there is an appeal to park all of that between now and the run-in across the next couple of weeks. And on paper, it should look as though Celtic have a straightforward time of it against John McGlynn's side this season. Celtic have triumphed on all 4 occasions against Falkirk, but that doesn't entirely tell the full story. Falkirk have been awkward opponents for Celtic at times, and they come here this afternoon with a point of their own to prove. They put in arguably their most insipid performance of the season last weekend at Hampden as Dunfermline progressed to the Scottish Cup final at Derek Spence on that penalty shootout. They want a reaction from that one, but they'll have to do it without a trio of key performers this afternoon. Scott Bain, Liam Henderson and Philip Lisa all out. Celtic, of course, big questions over this team line-up, whether or not James Forrest, to come off the bench and made such a difference at Hampden last weekend, really turned the game in Celtic's favour. And Iheanacho, whether they start Alistair Johnston too, does he make the squad for this afternoon? So as soon as we've got the team news, we'll bring it to you.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think all the Celtic fans will be keen to find out, because it's been, well, there have been various themes that have run through Celtic season, but team selection issues certainly up there. So we'll see who Martin O'Neill is able to call upon and who he chooses to call upon today. We can't be too far off that, really, maybe 5 minutes or so away from team news. So keep your ears out, and we'll get to that very soon. It is, in so many ways, Hugh, we don't even really need to point out what today's all about. Clearly at the top of the league it just speaks for itself. Even the most optimistic Celtic fans, and we have many of them that phone in, who sometimes put great positive spins on everything. But you won't get that if they don't win the game today. I mean, surely there becomes a point where it's just, you're just lying to yourself.
Very, very awkward for Celtic if they were to fail to get all 3 points tonight at Celtic Park, you know, by 7:30, it would be a very unhappy ground if they had not managed to win all 3 points. Alison, the last time she was on, quoted Dylan Thomas, and tonight she's thrown in the name of Bernard Ponsonby, no less, who apparently spoke at a Celtic Foundation dinner and was critical of the board's work. Now, Bernard will not be alone on that front, but the anger would intensify if Celtic didn't get all 3 points tonight. It's an absolute must win for them.
Still the same score lines as before in the other games. St Mirren 0, Livy 0, Aberdeen 1, Kilmarnock 0. That was that early goal. Here's a great stat, or it looks like it's a stat certainly, from Scotland's coefficient on Twitter. Kilmarnock have now conceded inside the first minute in 3 consecutive away matches.
Wow.
Mr. Scotland's coefficient, who keeps an eye on these things, says, I have goal data for 26,500 goals in Scottish football, and I can't find any occurrence of this happening before. So 3 away games, and all conceded within the first minute. Talk about travel sickness.
I'm not a professional manager.
Oh, thank goodness.
But I would always say that's unprofessional. That I turn to a former professional manager and I say, what is it that causes you to lose away goals in the first minute of 3 consecutive matches?
Do you know something? I don't even, if you ask Neil McCann that now, and he works with that squad of players, he won't be able to tell you either, because you prepare, and the last thing, especially if you've got that hanging around you, and the fact that people are saying, well, don't lose a goal there, you are telling the players before they leave that dressing room, let's not make sure we do not lose anything early in this game.
Do you think you start second guessing yourself then? Do you think you don't mention it?
Yeah, not or
say at all. Don't even bring any
start the game well.
Don't bring any attention to the start of the game.
I would flip it. I'd go, right, I'll tell you what, see, we're going to lose a goal.
Just lose it early.
Done in the first minute.
Boys, I would encourage you to lose a goal early.
Get it done early, and then we'll run over the top.
Mind you, we're concentrating on Kilmarnock. What about Aberdeen? They scored in the first minute and have done hee-haw since then, and they're at home and they need the points as well. They're in this mess too.
It was last night that the real crime of the century came to light when Hugh Keevins was caught cheating on Beat the Pundit. I did ask earlier on for messages of potential punishments. They are varied, very varied. Miovski Prop wants you banned from predictions for a year.
That's a bit much. That's a bit much.
Miovski Prop, we don't know how much longer we've got him, so I don't know if a year would be
that's
extreme.
That's a Gordon Dalziel joke.
I was just getting in before him.
To be fair, I was nodding my head.
Another one that I've had a few of these to say that you start next season on -1. But
no,
I need you to win sometimes. Beat the Pundit.
He's cheated every week and he's still a bottom of the table.
I know, we can't. I think that'd be like a reward if Celtic win the league -2. No. Richie says you have to stop tipping Rangers and start tipping Celtic, says Richie. I can see why that's working. I like this from John. Shocking from Hugh. The only punishment where do people come up with this stuff? Should be for him to talk like a pirate for 1 hour.
I mean, parrot on his shoulder.
In what way do pirates talk?
I've no idea.
Go on, Dan.
I've no idea.
Shiver me timbers, come on.
Shiver me timbers. I'm not.
He thought about
the pirate days are over.
He thought about it. Eddie Grady says perm and tash grown back.
Nah, not having that.
Imagine a perm.
Tash didn't last long the last time, did it?
Know what I would do? And this would really hurt him. He listens to the show every night. Am I correct in that?
Correct, yeah.
I would pick one night he's not allowed his beloved bottle of red. That would kill him.
Trying to listen to you sober.
Yes.
Tip him over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, there's cruelty, and
then
there is what you've just said there.
Yeah.
I pleaded guilty, for goodness sake. We can't give him a punishment.
I'm only saying one
severe.
night.
Anyway, Jonah Yunga, that's not good news. He's down doing the old banging the turf with his fist. He looked really in some pain, couldn't carry on. Stretchers coming round. I mean, there's not a lot of life left in this season, and St Mirren need him though before that, and then you worry if it is that serious what it looks like going forward. So Young comes on for him, and Dowu's come on for Richard King as well for St Mirren. But that's bad news, isn't it?
Yeah, it's bad news. Losing any player that's certainly a starting player or an influential player in your squad at this time of the season, when you're desperate for results, and St Mirren are desperate for results because this is a big game for it. It's probably been a disappointing first half. They were expected to try and get a lead against this Livingston side that's almost dead and buried, but they've not managed to get the breakthrough yet, and it'll become nervous towards the end of the game because Livingston, they've almost got nothing to lose. They can go for it. They can try and get that victory that they've been looking for since the first weekend of the season. So yeah, it becomes nervous.
9th of August.
Yep, last win for Livy.
That's incredible, isn't it?
I know.
Actually incredible.
I mean, there's something wrong with the league if you don't get relegated with a record like that. But St Mirren are certainly making heavy weather of this.
Queen of the South Nilman throws 2 goals, still going in down the division. Zaki's 2 up against Peterhead. Kevin O'Hara with the goal. We're looking for more. We need more in our top flight. We only have 2 games, so it's slim pickings a bit. Even the championship teams that we keep the closest eye on, like Partick Thistle, still goalless away at Arbroath, so not a lot to write home about there. We're going to give you Celtic Falkirk team news very, very soon. St Mirren have switched to 4-2-3-1 as they look to try and take the initiative. Yeah, you do wonder, just as that one gets towards the end, how nervy that might become. Let's do your teaser, Hugh, for the second half, if you're up for it.
I am.
The second half teaser with Archiplan Glasgow. Planning permission and building warrant drawings for home extension, conversion or renovation.
Over the course of my career, I've been managed by Neil McCann and Neil Lennon. I have played alongside Paul McGinn and James McCarthy. And I achieved back-to-back promotions in Scotland's lower leagues. Who am I? Played with Paul McGinn, James McCarthy, managed by Neil McCann, Neil Lennon, and won back-to-back promotions in Scotland's lower leagues. Who am I?
Okay, good question that. At Clyde SSB, it is a race as always, and that race has begun, so get the thinking caps on, send us the tweet with just the one name on it, at Clyde SSB, and the first person through is the winner. But of course, we don't mind if you want to just take part. It's the taking part that counts for some people. Chuck some names in, chuck some ideas about, even if it takes you a bit of time. Throw as many names at us as you can, and we'll see if we can come up with the answer. Absolute spoiler in the studio, because for the first time in living memory, you boys already know the answer.
Yeah.
I gave it away earlier on, unfortunately. So there we go, I've spoiled your fun. But for everyone else, at Clyde SSB, go. The race is on. Let's see if you can come up with the name on that one. It's been a while since we had a proper mistake on that. Remember, I always remember Alex Ray years ago just blurting out the name straight away after we read the teaser. What was it again?
Ian Wright or somebody?
Was Ian Wright, wasn't
was it? Somebody like that, I remember.
I'd like to find that. I'd like to listen back to just how ridiculous that was.
It's just a theme this couple of days that the pundits know the answers.
I will never ever be able to forget where Tawanda Maswanishi was born. I now know that, and that would be my hope.
Was
for
that
the
one of the
future.
questions last night, was it?
I now know he comes from Zimbabwe.
I was working at the Rangers Hearts SWPL top of the table clash. It was a lovely night in Broadwood, just sitting enjoying the sun. I thought nothing can ruin this evening, and then I got the picture, I got the evidence of the bold Keevins cheating, and I felt betrayed and let down. But he's owned up to it. We'll find him a suitable punishment before the evening is out. Right, we do have team news. The top 6 is about to get underway this evening. The title race, everything else that goes along with it. But what players are going to lead the charge for Celtic and Falkirk? Alison McConnell has the answers.
Yeah, well, the news from Celtic Park is that James Forrest makes the starting lineup this afternoon. However, Ian Acho is on the bench, along with Alistair Johnson, who makes his tentative return from injury. So Celtic line up with Viljami Sinisalo, and then we will have Anthony Ralston, Liam Scales, Austin Trusty and Kieran Tierney at left back. In the middle it will be Callum McGregor and Arnie Engels, and then of course we'll have James Forrest there with Nygren on the other side, and it will be Maeda through the middle and Yang in there too. And on the bench for Celtic, Ross Doohan, Alistair Johnson, Luke McCowan, Iheanacho, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Tuneke, Sirachi, Hatate and Dane Murray. And for Falkirk, they've obviously had to rejig a bit too. Nicky Hogarth comes in for the injured Scott Bain, and then it looks as though it'll be a 4-2-3-1 with Keelan Adams, Lewis Nielsen, Connor Allen and Leon McCann, with Dylan Tate and Spencer in the middle there, with Ben Broggio, Finn Yates and Calvin Miller, with Stewart then up top. And on the bench for Falkirk, Joe Hastings, Paul Donaldson, Brian Graham, Ross McIver, Henry Cartwright, Kirill Wilson, Ethan Ross, Ben Parkinson and Samuel Hart. And your referee today is Ryan Lee.
Right, what do you make of that then, Gordon Dale? What jumps out for you? Is it James Forrest starting? Is it Ian Atcho not? Is it Alistair Johnson back in the bench?
No, a bit of both there. Ian Atcho obviously come on with Forrest last week, made a great impact. It's this myth now that, well, not myth, it's this conversation that Martin O'Neill's had last week about, I don't think he's 100% fit, but the players come out and say 100% fit. He's certainly impacting when he's coming on. James Forrest, I think, because of his performance, the fact that he's on such a high of signing a new contract as well, you just wonder who will play off the left. Will it be Yang? I'll play off the left, or will Forrest go out there and play and hope to come inside on that favourite right foot? But apart from that, that looks a team that, for me tonight, should go and pick up the 3 points.
It's only a third league start of the season for James Forrest, Hugh. But in many ways, he would have probably earned it anyway had they not signed the new contract, because he had the positive impact last weekend. But it felt like everything was probably pointing towards his inclusion today, didn't it?
Helped by the fact that Tunekti had a terrible game at Hampden. Another big money signing for Celtic who has flopped. So James Forrest with the good performance and then the new contract, he was a certainty to start today. But the Kelechi Iheanacho mystery deepens. Scores 2 good goals at Hampden and then doesn't start. So what is going on there? Yang through the middle.
Maeda through the middle.
Maeda through the middle. He had a wonderful start at Hampden with the help of the St Mirren goalkeeper, but he's just not effective. I don't think that's a great Celtic team, I have to be honest. If Falkirk were at full strength and in better frame of mind, I'd be wary of the game. But they've lost several players. They are not in a good frame of mind. They got an absolute going over from Dunfermline. But for me, that's not a Celtic side that would excite me.
The Iheanacho one must be so frustrating, Cammy. If Celtic fans, football fans, don't unite on much. But I think the percentage of Celtic fans who want Iheanacho to be starting every game would be very, very high, I would imagine. It's certainly based on the calls that we get into this show. And for whatever reason, presumably fitness, sharpness, whatever, just when you think he is going to start a game again, he doesn't.
Yeah, again, for me, he's the best striker they've got. He's the most natural goal scorer, the number 9, if you want to call it that. He's the most natural one they've got, and it is a little bit of a mystery again when you hear Iheanacho's coming out and saying I am fit, and then Martin O'Neill's almost straight away dismissing it a little bit and saying he doesn't think he's fit.
It's also not a midweek game, that was 6 days ago.
Yeah, I know, and it's again, is Iheanacho coming out and saying I'm fit as in I'm injury free? Is that what he's meaning? And Martin O'Neill's meaning he doesn't think he's fit enough to give him 60 minutes without risking injury. So again, there's a lot behind it, but I'm surprised he isn't playing, because for me, I think Celtic fans want him on the pitch because he is a goal scorer. Forrest, I always kind of thought he would play today. He would come into the team, and listen, the big bonus is that Alistair Johnson's on the bench. He's involved in the game, because that's going to be a key player between now and the end of the season.
Well, I was going to say, almost exactly 6 months he's been out. 2 days, 6 months and 2 days ago was his last appearance against Sturm Graz. I think what you maybe forget as well is he was out 2 months before that. Remember, he was rushed back. So really this season, he's really been out since August. So eight months in total. Whether it's too late to have a proper impact in the end of the season or not remains to be seen.
Listen, it depends where he's at. He's obviously not had the game time, but we know how good a player he is and how influential he can be within games, getting up and down that right hand side. He's very good defensively, but also what he adds to the attack. So it'll just be where he is at this moment in time. I'm pretty sure they're hoping he can get some sort of game time today, get him on the pitch. and we'll soon see if he's up to speed. But listen, he's a naturally fit guy. If he's past his injury, I expect him to have an impact between now and the end of the season.
I would probably go along with that. I think the modern day footballer now gets back very quickly and gets up to pace, with the game. He's massive for them. He is absolutely.
Hold on, just hold that thought.
With M&D Green Pharmacy.
St Mirren 0, Livingston 1. It is an Alex Gogic own goal. He tried to clear a low-driven cross from Robbie Muirhead. It's ended up in the back of the net, and we're just about maybe 20-25 minutes. I know that's a long time, but if it stays that way, St Mirren in a bit of trouble, and Livy with the prospect of winning a first league game since the second day of the season. Oh, there's a VAR check for offside.
Oh no. Could you imagine winning a game since August the 9th and it wasn't even your own player that scored it?
Nobody thinks about radio show presenters when it comes to VAR. You talk about players and fans, what of us who make a fool of ourselves all the time, because you don't want to set up every goal and say no. Subject to a VAR check.
If I am Craig McLeish, I am praying for the VAR check to throw up something that saves me, because I think if they went a goal down, given the fact that 3/4 of the game have passed by already, I'd be a worried man.
It was a break from the halfway line, Fraser says, so there might be a couple of occasions for VAR to check, and this is the bit where everybody gets frustrated, or maybe it takes too long. But you can't just ignore some of them. If there is 4 forward passes or whatever, then you're going to need to. And the goal is given. So St Mirren 0, Livingston 1. There's a big goal in League 2 because it changes Roger Hanna's picture. Spartans 1, Elgin 0. Mark Stowe with the goal. So that means quite a lot has to change really for East Kilbride to win the league today, because both the top two are now in front. So really remember, Elgin need to win and East Kilbride win for the title to be in East Kilbride's favour. So that's a bit away from happening at the moment. Spartans 1 up on Elgin. What about that Livingston opener though?
Yeah, listen, that's a huge goal for Livingston obviously, but for where St Mirren could end up, a home game, if they get, I mentioned it before, if they didn't pick up all 3 points today, it would be damaging for them. If they get defeated at home against a rock bottom Livingston, where does that leave their players? Their mindset? Again, they've got some difficult games coming up, and this is one that Craig McLeish would have looked at and thought he would get all 3 points from. There's still time, but it's a disappointing goal for them.
Win a trophy and go down in the same season.
Well, the only thing they've got in their favour now is Kilmarnock below them's losing, and there's still time to come back.
But it's a home game for something, which has got to be concerning.
Listen,
well, on paper it's your easiest fixture.
Yeah.
Yeah, on paper, but there'll be a bit of nervousness creeping around Paisley as we speak.
But back to what we were discussing about the Celtic team, I think you were on Alistair Johnson. You expect he could have an impact at the end of the season. Is there a more obvious way of looking at the impact that he could have, in the sense that Celtic kind of need him or need anybody, because they've only got Anthony Ralston now? Had Aruko stayed fit, stayed in the team, the fans seemed to like him, he was doing a good job. Alistair Johnson's absence is not felt the same, but Colby Donovan's injured as well. Anthony Ralston, before you even get to whether you think he's a good, bad or indifferent player, what is he supposed to play every minute of every game between now and the end of the season? So even on a numbers basis, they kind of needed Alistair Johnson back.
Oh, it's massive, you're right there. If anything happened to Ralston, who's going in there at right back? Hattati, because that's what happened up at Tannadice, and we've seen what happened after that, because he was at fault for the goal. I think just to have him on the bench this afternoon is a big boost for everybody. He's that important to them, of course he is, and as I say, I think the modern day footballer now gets up to speed very, very quickly.
I'd be very interested to hear the Celtic fans at 5 o'clock when we open the lines, because for me the team represents the kind of mediocrity that's holding Celtic back at the minute. And I know that people come on and say, only 3 points off Hearts, but if you're fired up and inspired by that team, you're kidding yourself.
Just as Johnny Kenny scores for Bolton, by the way. But listen, we've got to leave. Celtic might win 3-0 today. Results might go their way, and this weekend turns out to be a really positive one for them. But before a ball's kicked, you look at the teams. We've had a message in from Lewis there as well, talking about how damning this is in terms of the January transfer window. Because everybody knew Celtic were in a bad place going into the January window, and it was seen as a kind of last roll of the dice. Get people in, get whatever you can. If you do the January window right, you could still win the league. And there's not a single January signing really anywhere to be seen. Oxlade-Chamberlain is on the bench.
Yep.
That's it. Chivanchera not in the squad. Mvuka, Adamu.
Is it that bad a Celtic team? Right.
No, that I've moved on to.
I know. The window, I think we've all discussed the windows that they've been terrible for Celtic. There's no getting away from it. The recruitment has been horrendous. It's been really, really poor. And I think that what you're just saying there, Gordon, sums it up, that there's not a January impact player in that squad, really, to be honest. When you look at, you can say Oxlade-Chamberlain's probably the only one sitting on the bench, but again, he's not had the impact probably you would have expected him to come and have. So when you look at the team, though, I agree.
That team's good enough to go and beat Falkirk. Let's not be kiddie here, right? You look at the middle of the park, you've got a guy who's won every trophy and going.
But see, to be fair, right,
you've got a 25 million rated midfield player beside him.
This is your go-to, right? And it's not. Right. It's not that it's not true. But how bad would the Celtic team need to be to not be pre-match favourites against Falkirk or Livy or St Mirren or whatever? For Celtic fans, this is about where they think they should be. So you can't just every week say, that should be good enough to beat the opponent, because they're third for a reason. So if it was good enough to beat the opponent every week, they would be top of the league.
I don't say that every week, because
you do most weeks.
No, well, it depends who they're playing. So if you ask me who I'm going to pick today, Celtic Falkirk, I'm going to pick Celtic. I'm sorry.
know, but this is what I'm saying. Celtic can still be a bad version of themselves. They're going to get into 90% of Scottish Premiership games as favourites. It doesn't mean that every week you just say, that team should be good enough. That doesn't get to the nuts and bolts of where the Celtic fans feel the decline is.
The Celtic team, which will start at 5:30 tonight, is symbolic of the decline which is taking place in the squad. You mentioned all the duds: Mvuka, Adamu, Balikwisha. There are a litany of players who'll be gone in the summer. A club with no manager and who specialise in bad transfer windows. This is where Celtic are now. And this game against Falkirk is the only one of the 5 in which you would make Celtic favourites to win. Not favourites to win away to...
they'll still be... That's my point. They'll still be favourites in those games, in the official sense of the word.
Away to Hibs, away to Motherwell.
Yeah, I think the bookmakers will tell you they'll be favourites in some of those games.
Well, again, you don't have to have your life dictated to by what bookies think.
No, it's just what favourites means, though. Just because you don't think they'll win it, that's different.
I don't... I don't take them to win at Easter Road or at Motherwell. I don't take them to win against Rangers at Celtic Park. I repeat, the team at 5:30 is indicative of a squad in serious decline.
Listen, there's no getting away from looking years gone by. This is a poor Celtic team, but they still have the opportunity of winning the league. There's no getting away from it. They're only 3 points behind. Today they've got the opportunity to go and get 3 points on the board, put pressure on Hearts and Rangers. We can stand here and look at the Celtic team and say it's poor. I think they've got enough on the pitch to go and win the game. Certainly got enough on the pitch for me to go and win the game.
Right, we'll get back to Celtic Park. What about your teaser, Hugh? Because only one person's got that right, which is a good sign that the question is difficult.
In my career, I've been managed by Neil McCann and Neil Lennon. I have played alongside Paul McGinn and James McCarthy, and I achieved back-to-back promotions in Scotland's lower leagues. Who am I?
Stuart thinks it could be Niall McGinn.
Nope.
Grant Naismith thinks it could be Paul McGowan.
No.
He's one of the clues. That would be a real 3D, 4D chess, whatever you call it, from Hugh. Gordy Goose thinks Kenny Miller.
Nope.
Dave thinks Lewis Morgan.
Nope.
Quite a few, like Mary Brogan amongst them, going for our very own Scott Allen.
No.
Okay, keep the guesses coming in at Clyde SSB. I like that question. It's testing you. Somebody's got it right, but we'll see if anyone else can join them. It's a lonely podium if we've only got one. Let's see if we can come up with more. Care on for the injured Finlayson for Livy, who are 1 goal to the good. How nervy will the St Mirren fans be right now?
Very.
Yeah, of course they will. When you get into the split and you've got a home game against the bottom of the table who's getting relegated, you're getting firm favourites to go and win it. And if you want to stay in the division, then you've got to go and win these games. I know somebody in here did tip Livy. But there's still a bit to go yet. Livy, you know what Livy are like. It could be a draw at the end of the day.
Fans are very quiet. Does that work two ways? Because I know there's a we're talking about the pressure that's on St Mirren, because Livy kind of know their fate is going to be sealed at some point, but are Livy scarred from the late goals that they've lost at times this season?
Possibly. Again, they've lost a lot of late goals, which they'll reflect on after the season when they probably do get relegated, and you know that's played a big part in it, losing these late goals to losing so many points. But yeah, listen, the pressure's kind of off Livingston a little bit for me, because I think that their fate will be sealed at some point. As mentioned before, players have got to play for contracts, they've got to play for their futures. Marvin Bartley's got a job to try and secure that he wants for next season, so there's a lot for Livingston still to play for, and it seems as if they're certainly doing that today.
Oh, Roger Hannah, stand by. Spartans 1, Elgin 1. Morgan Neal's equalised, so an Elgin goal there, and nothing changes at Dumbarton. East Kilbride win League 2, so you get ready, Roger Hannah. Stay on your toes, stay alert, because it looked like the chances were getting slimmer, but they're edging back towards your direction. Spartans 1, Elgin 1. We love a good bit of hype, don't we, Hugh Keevins? And we've not been used to the World Cup hype, for goodness sake. It's been such a long time. How's this for a platform to try and force your way into the Scotland squad? Ross Stewart starts for Southampton against Man City at Wembley. We know everybody says Steve Clarke's stubborn and he'll be set. There'll be some noise around Ross Stewart if he can go and do something against Man City at Wembley.
Scored in the last round.
And the one before that, I think.
Spoke to Ross on the phone a few weeks ago. The Loch Ness Drogba, as they call him. And he is very keen. He's beginning to make noise about Steve Clarke having a look. And why not? It's a problematic position for us at international level, and he's doing it at a very high level. If he does it against Man City, Steve, you'll need to go and have a look.
He's timing his run, isn't he? I like him. I know he's had trouble with injuries at times, but this guy's went for millions and millions of pounds, so there are a lot of people out there like him. I think he offers a lot. I really do. I think he's get.
Do you think what maybe goes against him is, and by not the exact same, I'm being very broad here, but maybe loosely a similar profile to some that are already, if you're talking, like it or not, just make your peace with it. Lyndon Dykes is going to the World Cup, right? If he's fit, he just is. And I think based on recent squads, there is only one, well, there's no squads really to be announced before the World Cup now. George Hurst is probably, again, like it or lump it. Just what would it take? Whereas, I don't know, see, Ross Stewart was 5'9", rapid, quick,
a different type,
played on the shoulder, and then was scoring the goals that he is. Does that give Steve Clarke a different type of dilemma?
I totally agree with that. I think it's a really good point. I think there's already a couple of strikers in there that, again, Steve Clarke trusts and respects, and I think they've already got their seat on the plane, so that probably plays against Ross Stewart and his fate for the World Cup. But listen, see if he has an incredible couple of games that he's got to finish the season.
Can't be ignored.
You've got to ask the question. That's all he can do at this moment in time. But I think you make a really good point that there is players in there that I think Steve Clarke will be very loyal to.
But as we said, you love the word narrative, Hugh. If Ross Stewart can add to goals against Arsenal and Fulham in the Cup, and then high profile championship ones like Wrexham, but his form since kind of mid-February, so the last 2 months has been excellent. What a platform today to go and try and do it.
I've often said that I think it's too near to the departure lounge for Steve Clarke to be bringing in someone out of left field. However, we are short in that striking department.
Oh, listen to this.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
St Mirren 0, Livingston 2, and it's Mr. Livy himself. It is Scott Pittman who doubles the advantage. He fired home from 12 yards. It was good work down the left hand side, and the midfielder arrived to score what could be a vital goal. Not so much for keeping Livy up, that looks like a matter of time, but what on earth might that do for St Mirren and everybody else who's looking to avoid the relegation playoff spot? Livy very, very close. 9 minutes plus stoppages away from a First League win since August. It is late April. They've not won in the league since August, we could be about to witness something quite dramatic in Paisley.
The one thing that's important now is what happens at Pittodrie.
Let me tell you, there's real tension there because Kelly are dominating and really going for it.
Right, Aberdeen scored in the first minute and nothing since. It's a terrible, I know it's not a result yet, but it's a terrible scoreline. You're at home to a team with one win all season, and that's embarrassing for them. And I know people harp on about the goalkeeper. However, they did sign Ross Sinclair from St Johnstone. He's in there. They've had 45 terrific minutes against Celtic in the Cup last weekend. They've scored 2 goals. They've given Celtic one heck of a fright. And they lose 2-0 at home to the bottom team who have been sunk for months. Bad result.
I don't think what happens at Pittodrie matters. I think that's really, really damaging for St Mirren. If Kilmarnock lose at Pittodrie, I still think it gives Kilmarnock a lifeline, because Kilmarnock players are coming off that pitch probably expecting, no matter what their result is, probably expecting St Mirren to pick up 3 points today. And if they come off and it is a defeat, yes, it'll be disappointing, it'll be raw for them, but then when they look at the St Mirren result at home, it'll give them another lifeline. And again, Kilmarnock have got a home game against Dundee United next week, so that's massive. It's a huge goal that for Livingston.
It really is. Big goals going everywhere. Look, the relegation battle in the Championship is a cracker as well, and Ross County, who've had the mother of all miserable seasons, are 4-0 up at home to Morton. They've picked their moment to try and find form here. Ryan Duncan with 10 to go, but Airdrie are also now winning. Airdrie 2, Ayr 1. Charlie MacArthur with 5 or so minutes to go, so that's getting a bit tense.
Who's the last game? They two. Because
Airdrie are away to Morton on the last game on Friday.
And Ross County have got?
I don't know who Ross County have actually got.
Well, Morton don't seem to be in form at all, do they?
And again,
sorry, forgive me, who were you looking for there?
Airdrie and Ross County, because it's going to come between those two for relegation.
Airdrie away to Morton and Ross County are away at Wraith.
So they're both playing teams that haven't got anything. Wraith have got nothing to play for, neither of Morton. So you look at these fixtures and you kind of expect possibly both of them to get a result, which would obviously
relegate
Ross County, yeah.
Or Morton. What about Morton? Where are they in all this?
No, they're okay. They're okay.
You sure?
Yeah, they're 37.
So. Okay.
Oh, hold on. Well done. I'm glad you're sitting over there.
Oh, it was Roger Hannah. I'm just stealing his point.
Okay. Oh, were you okay then?
I was actually about to mention him, and he just secured that
35 and 34.
Yeah.
Sorry, Roger.
Come on, you need to get up early to get in front of Hannah, man.
I know. I'll be rubbing that sun cream on.
Try to think which way does the sun go at the Rock. Is it beaming right into his face?
It doesn't matter, he's catching it.
Well, here's one for you. What? So I've obviously got kind of sallow skin and don't tend to bother in the sun.
Yeah.
I think I've started covering Scottish football games 17 years ago. Yesterday, first time ever had to apply sun cream at my work.
Yeah.
At a game. Yeah, last night. I had been out too long during the day as well. So by the time all the pre-match stuff had been done at the women's game, my arms, I could really feel them starting to go.
I thought you said something else.
Sorry?
Your arms, did you say?
Yes.
Right, okay.
All right. Well, that wasn't tingling. Why would that be tingling?
I was going to say some cream there.
And this was before the game.
Using your cream.
Before the game had even kicked off. So first time in 17 years at a Scottish football game, I had to whack this sun cream on. Maybe Roger Hannah's going through something similar today. I don't know if he's going to get a title party. He needs Elgin to win. He needs Elgin to find a winner, and he needs to hope that East Kilbride either score again or certainly don't chuck away what they've got. They've got a 1-0 lead, so they're doing their bit at the moment. There's a big goal from down south if you're interested. Wolves 1, Spurs 0. Spurs 1, João Palhinha with 8 minutes to go. That could be vital, because what a story that would be if they were to end up in the Championship.
Well, Ange Postecoglou gives him a European trophy. They gave him the bullet, and the idea of Tottenham being in the English Championship is unthinkable. The loss of money, status, everything. But that's the very least they could do is beat the bottom team, Wolves, and they're 10 minutes away from doing so.
Hamilton Accies 3, Peterhead 0. Remind us of your teaser, Hugh.
Okay. In the course of my career, I was managed by Neil McCann and Neil Lennon. I played alongside Paul McGinn and James McCarthy, and I achieved back-to-back promotion wins in Scotland's lower leagues. Who am I?
Sean Milne wants to go for Michael Tidser.
Not at all.
Kyle would like to suggest Brandon Barker.
Nope.
And a word that Gordon DL knows well, Botox, thinks it could be Calvin Miller.
Think again, Botox.
Me or the guy.
Quite a few people are going for Brandon Barker, interestingly, talking about promotion. Hibs, Rangers. No, it's not Brandon Barker. We've only got 2 on the podium, so there is still a space. Will I give out another clue? Let's try and help you. He is currently playing in the Scottish Premiership. I don't mean on the pitch right now. I mean he's an active Scottish Premiership player this season. He also has Scotland caps. Does that help you? You decide. At Clyde SSB. One more space available on the podium. 4 minutes or so to go in Fraser's game in Paisley. That was probably about a minute ago that he sent that, so we're getting, you do the arithmetic, we're reaching the end. There'll be about 5 stoppages, though, he says 5 minutes for stoppages for that one. It's going to take something for St Mirren to...
No, that game's done.
You going all Hugh Keevins
yeah,
on me?
Big Mavs get the Livy Lions bus right on the 18-yard line as we speak. Nobody's getting by that.
It would be entirely in keeping with the season we've had. St Mirren win the Premier Sports Cup and get relegated.
And Livy somehow managed to spin this out for another few weeks and get everybody's hopes up for a really dramatic survival. I don't think that's going to be possible, but they're doing their bit today. 2-0 up at St Mirren, and St Mirren fans, as soon as these phone lines open, if it stays that way, I really want to hear from you, because things will change, I would imagine, in terms of your optimism for the rest of the season. Could Kilmarnock shake things up by getting an equaliser? They probably deserve one. Aberdeen scored in the first minute and haven't done anything since, but neither have Kilmarnock in terms of finding the back of the net, and that'll be a real regret for Neil McCann, because at least that day at Falkirk they conceded early, but they were battered then throughout.
Yep.
But to do that stat that we read out earlier, a third consecutive away game where you concede within the first minute, and actually that's the goal that does you, that'll be a real frustration for him.
Criminal, isn't it, for Kilmarnock, when you lose a goal so early, and it does cost you in the game, especially when points are so precious for them at the moment. It would have been a massive point if they can get a goal later on in this game, but yeah, they'll look back and think that the way you start games isn't good enough. You've got to give yourself a chance, and it sounds as if they've responded really, really well throughout the game, but they just can't find that breakthrough.
When did Kelly play St Mirren? Now, what a game that's going to be.
Yep.
Under the circumstances.
It's the third game into the split. Yep.
Is it Kelly? Yeah.
It's away at St Mirren. It's in Paisley. Yep.
Well, that's the big picture then.
Yep. Huge.
Clyde 3, Annan 1, Cammy. Don't know if that you really care. Season's over.
Season's done.
It's a consolation goal anyway, but there you go. Clyde 3, Annan 1 is heating up at the title race at League 2. That's why we've been keeping an eye on it, but I don't know. We've only got a couple of minutes left. Are we going to get the drama we need?
Imagine that.
How weird would it be to partially celebrate, if that's the right word, or really commemorate an Elgin goal on here? Because if Elgin scored at Spartans and nothing changes, Roger Hanna's getting his title celebration at East Kilbride, who are away at Dumbarton. But there we go. A few things need to change before then. But even that, I suppose, this would really nudge it towards East Kilbride being big favourites for next weekend.
Yeah, but I don't think the goal difference is massive, is it? I don't think it's...
there's a few goals in it, just a couple of goals, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of goals in it. And you look at Clyde, 3-1 today. They're getting into that game. They've had a good end of the season.
I think
it's all about nerves in the last game of the season.
I think the problem with Clyde will play in the playoffs, and they'll play on the Tuesday night, so it just depends what team they'll field. Do you know what I mean? A lot of these teams that are secured of it will rest players on the Saturday to then play on the Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, with 3 points, you're looking at East Kilbride having to lose.
That would be a disaster.
Spartans needing to win.
Yeah.
That feels...
Oh, listen,
going into the last game of the season at home, and you only need a point. You might not even... In fact, a defeat might do it, yeah? Or how close is the goal difference? Remind me, East Kilbride have boosted theirs by 1 today.
So it was 4 before the game.
That's done. That's done. Let's have a party. Let's have a party in East Kilbride with Big Marv. I think that's tonight's on the menu.
9 minutes stoppage time for Fraser Wishart. My goodness, it didn't feel like it to us, but then again, we've not seen all the various delays there. But yeah, 9 minutes, so there's time, but I don't know, even by our dramatic standards this season, I don't know Is that enough for St Mirren to mount something?
No.
Marco Hara just hit the bar.
Does that secure Inverness? They've just scored.
Yeah, point. I think.
Does that get them the title?
Is that all they needed? Because I did notice they were behind earlier on, and I
just
thought
scored. Billy Mackay as well. Billy Mackay
chucked it away.
I think a point's enough for them.
Billy Mackay, not about 63 years of age, nearly as
assistant
old as
manager now.
Yeah, 5 years ago,
and he's scoring goals. And how crucial could that one be? Remind me of the Steny score.
I think it's still 0-0 as far as I'm aware.
No, Steny were winning 1-0 against Alloa.
Well, it's still 1-0. Still 1-0.
I know that for a fact.
Is that enough to secure it?
No, I don't think it is then.
Oh.
The goal difference not that big.
Aye, but it won't.
No, Inverness need to win.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Steny were only 2 points. Are 2 points behind, so still need a win there. 5 added for Dave Galloway. Can you sense? Come on, give me something. Give me a sense of drama. Can Kilmarnock even get an equaliser?
I think there's more chance of Kilmarnock scoring at Pittodrie, far more chance than there is of St Mirren doing anything, even though they have 9 minutes at their disposal. They're out of it for this afternoon.
Yeah, I would go down that road, Hugh, if I was going to pick one. I would probably pick a equaliser for Killie.
But we better get a move on.
We probably should round off the teaser to clear any room for said late drama.
Let's go.
The second half teaser with Archiplan Glasgow. Planning permission and building warrants drawings for home extension, conversion or renovation.
In my career, I've been managed by Neil McCann and Neil Lennon. I have played alongside Paul McGinn and James McCarthy. And I achieved back-to-back promotions in Scotland's lower leagues. I am Scott Bain.
Scott Bain, well done if you got it right. Back-to-back promotions with Alloa down the leagues, which you may have forgotten about. And I think the rest of it sort of speaks for itself. Is it Paul McGinn at Dundee? Who was your other player? James McCarthy at Celtic, and so on and so forth. So Scott Bain, and I think, did we only get the 2? Were we missing? Oh, we did get, I think the clue must have tipped somebody over. Kyle B got in there, 3rd place. Hope Over Fear was in 2nd, and Aidan B, 123, was the winner of the second half teaser. Well done to Aidan. Go to the pub tonight, barbecues, whatever it is. Tell everybody, brag until your heart's content that Aidan B, you are the winner of the second half teaser. Let's see if we do get any late drama then. We're just waiting to find out how different it would look if Kilmarnock could snatch an equaliser. I'm now definitely thinking it's too late for St Mirren, so it's not necessarily a big win for Livy. Something nice and significant about finally getting that.
Well, for Marv,
record ending.
I'm glad for Marvin that he's got all the draws. We commented on the number of draws he gets, but he's got a win now, and only the second of the season, so it won't prevent them from being relegated. But it's a nice accolade for Marvin.
Rumours going about, they're all sitting in the dugout going, what's the win bonus?
Can't remember, can you?
Can you remember what we got in August the 9th?
You'd need to try and adjust it for inflation. It's been that long. He'll be enjoying himself anyway. News reached me earlier that he was out with the shorts and the t-shirt
on. He's looking $1 million.
Baby oil and the guns just soaking
He'll be
up.
smiling at the side of that pit.
He deserves it.
He deserves it.
4 minutes still to go in that game. Fraser Wishart is in for the long haul. An entirely unremarkable game which had no real repercussions for Partick Thistle. They've gone up to Arbroath and drawn 0-0. I don't think it matters in any way. They just turn their attentions to trying to navigate their way through the playoffs. It's probably been a tough week having to watch on and see St Johnstone get over the line. This will probably push them closer than most people would have expected pre-season. In fact, no probably about it, definitely closer than most people would have expected. But St Johnstone have looked on it for a while. They wrapped it up on, was it Tuesday or Wednesday? Tuesday, secured it, got the old trophy last night, Friday evening, and now on to the playoffs.
You remember going back to that first game St Johnstone at Perth? Was it 5? And we all thought, right, okay, Mark will be back here next Saturday. But all credit to him. They've been absolutely brilliant, especially at home, and they will be a tough nut to crack in the playoffs.
Roger Hanna might have just secured himself a trip to East Kilbride next week, because it doesn't look like it's going to be done, but they have won the game today, Roger.
They certainly have. Dumbarton and East Kilbride won. They have done their bit and they are waiting to hear anything from Edinburgh. At the minute we know it's Spartans 1, Elgin 1 in stoppage time at the Vanlock Community Stadium. Here it was an early goal, 9 minutes in. Bobby McCluckie with the win. It was a great break down the right hand side by Sean Fagan. He looked up, he cut the ball across the penalty area for McCluckie, and a left foot finish back across goalkeeper Aidan Rice for 1-0. They hit the bar in either half. Jack Leach, an overhead kick, spectacular from the edge of the 6-yard box, back off the bar. And then in the second half, Lewis Spence off the post when he might have hit the target. Dumbarton rallied in the second half. They had a couple of half chances. They lost young Celtic lone goalkeeper Rice to injury with Brett Long coming on, but their season are likely to finish 9th. They are safe at the bottom, but East Kilbride, Mick Kennedy, Simon Ferry, Scott Allen are walking across the pitch, back across towards the main stand. They are waiting to hear if Elgin can get a late winner to do them a favour to seal back-to-back league titles. As it stands, they are 3 points clear and 5 goals better off than their title rivals. They are at home to Clyde next Saturday. If they don't get it done tonight, Gordon, they might well get it done at K Park in 7 days' time. As it is at the minute, full time, Dumbarton 0, East Kilbride 1.
Well, we'll have this before, I think, where Roger Hanna could be the man to break the news to them. I'll keep him on. We'll tell him if Elgin have scored or not. We'll stick with it. Aberdeen have beaten Kilmarnock. We'll go there in just a second, because I think that game must be finishing soon. Did I miss it coming in? I don't think so. We'll just keep a wee eye out. Maybe the fans will find out first, and we'll hear the cheer in the background. I don't know if East Kilbride party is going to have to wait. You do suspect so, but they're very much in the driving seat now. When you look at the points, the goal difference, just any sort, even a sensible defeat next week would probably do it. They won't want to do it that way, of course. That would be far too nervy for our own Scott Allen. I don't think he could handle that tension. And I can't believe we're hanging on here waiting for an Elgin goal potentially. This, no offence to the good people of Elgin, but this might be a new low.
Still in the pitch.
They are still.
They're still in the pitch. Yes, Gav.
I'm quite excited.
There is a
Roger shouting, "Go!" See what they do.
Mick Kennedy is down at the front. He's shaking hands with some of the East Kilbride fans. With the crowd just short of 1,000 here. Really good crowd down at Dumbarton, and a lot of East Kilbride fans. No one has left. They're waiting patiently. The players are in a huddle. They are waiting to hear what the score is from Spartans. They're in a huddle in front of me, waiting to hear if there is any goals.
Somebody just cheered, but I don't know if that's somebody probably at it, isn't it?
Yeah. There are cheers coming out of this huddle. There are East Kilbride players
it's finished.
Hugging each other.
It's finished. Spartans 1, East Kilbride 1. So I don't know what the celebrations are about, because, well, I suppose their position is strengthened.
The position has been strengthened. As I say, they'll go into this game against Clyde next week. They are 3 points better off. They are 5 goals better off. They know a point next week would be enough. Simon Ferry is currently shouting up, confirming it's 1-1. He's desperate for Super Scoreboard to tell him it is all over. It is all over, Simon. 1-1. East Kilbride have their destiny in their own hands next Saturday at home to Clyde. And if they make a mess of it, Gordon, as George Fraser, the general manager, was telling me earlier on, they'll have to take on Clyde 3 times in 8 days, because it will be Clyde that the runners-up will face, of course, in the playoff semi-final.
OK, let's go full-time. Aberdeen, Dave Galloway.
Yes, full-time here at a noisy Pittodrie Stadium. It's Aberdeen 1, Kilmarnock 0. A dream start by Aberdeen, who scored in the very first minute. Some neat build-up play. Armstrong laid off cleverly to Aremu, whose shot from the edge of the box was deflected into the bottom corner of the net. Just after that, another blow for Kilmarnock, with Brandon limping off injured, but after early Don's dominance, Killy came right back into things. Tisbola's shot was charged down, and the same player crashed the header off the bar from Thompson's free kick. Hugh heading the rebound over. At the other end, Olusanya was all set to pull the trigger, but Stanger put in a brilliant tackle inside the box. The visitors looking much better now, and from a corner kick, Klischenko was free on the edge of the box, but could only blast the ball well over the bar. The hosts couldn't build on that wonderful start. Some nice passages of play without really getting anywhere at all as the first half progressed. Both sides carved out openings early in the second period. Klischenko made space cleverly in the box, and Mitov dealt with his curling effort, and Olusanya controlled the ball on his chest, but under pressure from the defender he shot over. Killy took control. They took a firm grip of proceedings, and the Dons were cut wide open by by a really nice through ball. Kilty's drive from just outside the box, though, failed to trouble Meathoff. The visitors hit the bar twice. Tishbola's 6-yard header from Klischenko's cross clipped the goal frame. And then Milne nearly scored an OG when his attempt at a headed clearance, it was a diving header, a good header, but it almost went into his own goal. It struck the woodwork too. Kilmarnock definitely on top, but then Milne almost doubled Aberdeen's lead when he almost scored at the right end when Palaversa set him up. However, Stryjek making his comeback, as I mentioned at the top of the show, after heart surgery in November, saved quite superbly. So all in all, Neil McCann's team must be wondering how they didn't take at least a draw from this game, but it's job done just about for Stephen Robinson's men, who move 8 points clear of their opponents. Here at Pittodrie it finished Aberdeen 1, Kilmarnock 0.
And what a big day in Paisley. St Mirren against Livingston. Fraser Wishart.
It was a big day. The Smythe Stadium is very quiet now, but it was very quiet well before the end as the crowd left. A big win for Livy. St Mirren 0, Livingston 2, and you can't deny Livingston that victory. They deserved it for the second half performance. An own goal by Alec Gogic, a trademark Scott Pittman goal. The difference after St Mirren's performance just dropped dramatically after dominating the first half. They were much better of the first 45 minutes, but a few chances, but found Jerome Prior in really good form. He pushed away a good effort from Jonah Ayunga, shot from the edge of the box, but his best save is from Richard King, close range effort from the back post. King get good contact in the ball, and keeper somehow changed direction to get a hand to the ball to push it away. We hadn't seen much of Livy in attack, but they had defended well, and you felt that the opening goal would be vital to this game. A huge blow for St Mirren on 52 minutes. Johnny Young went down after a challenge by Kubalongo. Oh, he's off on a stretcher, not only a blow for today, but maybe for the rest of the season. Craig McLeish brought on Young and also Idowu at the same time, changed to 4-2-3-1 to try and get something from this game, but St Mirren just couldn't get going. In the second half, tempo dropped. Livy began to show a bit more belief in attack. Marvin Bartley made 3 substitutions. He brought on Muirhead, Montano and Pittman, and ultimately they changed the game. All 3 made a huge difference. The opener came the 11-67 minutes, a 2v2 break. Smith and Muirhead involved. The latter drove the ball across goal. Alex Gogic trying to clear the ball 2 yards out, sliced the ball high into his own net. St Mirren fans very quiet, understandably worried. Gogic almost made up for his own goal, 20-yard volley, inches wide. The keeper just watched it. It was Livy who went 2 up in 81 minutes. Montano on the left-hand side did really well as he drove into the box. He slipped the ball to Pittman. We've seen it so often over his long career at Livy. He arrived late to side-foot the ball past Sinclair from 12 yards into the box. That knocked the stuffing out the Saints players despite 9 minutes stoppage time. He did a couple of efforts. O'Hara did hit the bar in 90 minutes and Phillips headed over from 12 yards, but he didn't feel they were ever going to score, and the game was done at 2-0. Began to look like a 2-team shootout to avoid the playoffs. St Mirren paid the price for not taking advantage of that first half domination, but well done to Livy. Only the second win of the season, first away from home, and they've delayed the probable relegation for yet another week. Full time here, St Mirren 0, Livingston 2.
What do you make of that, St Mirren fans? How are you feeling now down the bottom? 01419511025. The lines are about to open, and as always, this is the place to get your fresh post-match reaction over to us. You're coming out the stadium, you've got something you want to get off your chest. Why not get it off your chest to us? Particularly looking at that picture at the bottom at the moment, Kilmarnock fans, that must feel like a bit of a missed opportunity based on the performance. And St Mirren fans, a really bad day for you. So give us a call right now, please. And we'll also turn our attention Celtic against Falkirk in half an hour. Celtic fans, you know the team. No Ian Acho again, this time back on the bench. Is that the right call? James Forrest is in the starting 11. Alistair Johnston back amongst the subs. How do you see today against Falkirk going? And if you've got early thoughts ahead of Rangers against Motherwell, the Edinburgh Derby, or even a reflection on the week's biggest stories, 01419511025. And the live stream is about to start as well. So if you want to see sunburnt Hugh Keevins, sunburnt Gordon Dalziel, then fire that on and we'll speak to you in just a couple of minutes.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast was brought to you by White & Mackay. A calm head amongst the chaos. 18 plus. Keep the heat and always drink responsibly.
Thank you all so much for being here at our wedding. I can't believe I get to spend the rest of my life with the woman of my dreams. Speaking of dreams, have you ever dreamed of tasting all the colours of the rainbow? Because that is exactly what you get with Skittles. 5 bold fruit flavours in every pack. Lemon, orange, lime, strawberry and blackcurrant. They're chewy, they're colourful, they're perfect. Just like my wife. So thank you for coming, and remember to buy Skittles.
Shamelessly promote the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
At Tesco, we know that beans
means Heinz.
And you love to ask, have you had yours? All of you.
Love it.
Hate it. And because I'm worth it. When you need low prices on brands you love, like 150 grams of Heinz beans, 12-pack of Weetabix, 250 grams of Marmite, or 700 millilitres of L'Oreal Elvive Colour Protect shampoo, look out for the Everyday Low Prices logo in-store and online. Tesco. Every little helps. Everyday Low Prices includes thousands of products across the majority of larger stores and online. Prices held until the 10th of May. Selected branded products only.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with White and Mackay. Full of half-formed and loudly voiced opinions. It's like your local pub on Clyde One. Smoothly does it.
Thank you all so much for being here at our wedding. I can't believe I get to spend the rest of my life with the woman of my dreams. Speaking of dreams, have you ever dreamed of tasting all the colours of the rainbow? Because that is exactly what you get with Skittles. 5 bold fruit flavours in every pack. Lemon, orange, lime, strawberry and blackcurrant. They're chewy, they're colourful, they're perfect. Just like my wife. So thank you for coming, and remember to buy Skittles.
Shamelessly promote the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
Get the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL on the UK's best network. Press to talk it out live with Gemini, your AI assistant from Google, and find out how to revive that plant. Yep, we've all been there. Plus, you'll stay connected even when you run out of data. Get yours on EE today.
Results for illustrative purposes and may vary. Check responses for accuracy. Eligibility, credit check and terms apply. Credit by EE Limited. Verify best network at ee.co.uk/claims.
At Tesco, we know that beans
means Heinz.
And you love to ask, have you had yours? All of you.
Love it.
Hate it. And because I'm worth it. When you need low prices on brands you love, like 150 grams of Heinz beans, 12-pack of Weetabix, 250 grams of Marmite, or 700 millilitres of L'Oreal Elvive Colour Protect shampoo, look out for the Everyday Low Prices logo in-store and online. Tesco. Every little helps. Everyday Low Prices includes thousands of products across the majority of larger stores and online. Prices held until the 10th of May. Selected branded products only.
The all-new, all-electric Toyota CHR Plus. Sleek, stylish and quietly reliable. Available with 0% APR representative with £1,500 deposit contribution and save £1,500 with the electric car grant. Get that Toyota electric feeling. Visit your nearest Toyota centre. Price from 34495. Available on Toyota PCP when financed through Toyota Financial Services by 30th of June 2026. Optional final payment. Indemnities may be required. See website T's and C's apply.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Hugh Keevins, Cammy Bell and Gordon DL are here. It's 0141 951 1025 and they want to hear from you. What did you make of today's action? What are you thinking tonight at Celtic Park and tomorrow, and so on? There's loads to get through because we are reflecting straight away in those 3 o'clock games. That's generally what the point is on the Saturday evening. I'm looking at you, St Mirren fans. How are you feeling now? How are the nerves? Everything that this season promised on the back of your top 6 finishes and your cup win, and then a impressive performance in the cup last week, and things turning the corner. And Livy, who've not won a league game since August, since the second game of the season, have come to your home patch and beaten you. How does that change your feelings down at the bottom? Aberdeen and Kilmarnock was the other big game down there, and it went the way of the Dons. Not a vintage performance. They scored very, very early and hung on for the entire duration of the game. So Aberdeen won, Kilmarnock 0. In 20 odd minutes time, Celtic will take to the field to kick off the top 6 fixtures, that push for the title. How do you see that one going, Celtic fans, against Falkirk? Is that the team you would have gone for? Are you a bit miffed that Kelechi Iheanacho isn't starting the game? All we've heard all week is that he needs to start games now. He's clearly the best option. He must go in from the beginning, but he's on the bench and Dyson Maida goes through the middle. James Forrest starts in the week that he got the new contract. Alistair Johnston back amongst the subs. You've got Rangers Motherwell tomorrow, Edinburgh, Dundee derbies, and a week which involved James Tavernier, James Forrest, ticket allocations. What more could you want, Hugh Keevins?
Well, what you want is 5:30 and the kick-off at Celtic Park, because on paper this is Celtic's easiest game of the 5 post-split fixtures. But I maintain my position. I think it's a uninspiring Celtic team, and although Falkirk have injuries, I think it might be a long night for Celtic.
I sort of disagree. I think that the fact that Falkirk haven't got the strongest team. I still would fancy Celtic. I think the importance of the game is too much for Celtic. Martin O'Neill's already come out on record and saying, look, we can't really afford to be dropping points. And if you've got any chance of winning this league, you can't afford to drop points at home against Falkirk in your first game in the split. So, yeah, I know there's everybody's analysing the team, but I still think it's got enough firepower. I think they've got goals from the Midley Park. Negrin 20 goals this season so far.
But Negrin represents the firepower. After Negrin, you go down to Dyson Maida, who went 20 odd games without scoring. Negrin is the beginning and the end of the firepower.
I think individually, but the Celtic's goals for tally is not massively out of kilter with the other title contenders, is it?
It's not like they're about 20-30 behind every day, like Rangers and Hearts. They've still scored goals. They've just not had that prolific goal scorer like Maeda, for instance, the year before. Everybody was looking at the amount of goals he was chipping in with. But if you look at they've got James Forrest in one wing, Yang, who I think plays particularly well at Celtic Park. I think that's where he gets his best performances from. Ingles is coming back in there with McGregor as well. Look, there's no easy games when it goes, especially in the top six, because the top six deserve to be there. Falkirk have been really, really good this season. In fact, better than really good. They've been brilliant in what they've achieved. Unfortunate semi-final. I think Celtic will win this. I'm going to say comfortably enough for them.
Come on, Celtic fans, how do you feel about the game tonight? What about the team? Is that the team you would have picked? Are you a bit frustrated that Kelechi Iheanacho still, for whatever reason, isn't able to be chosen or isn't picked to start these matches? Give us your thoughts ahead of the game against Falkirk. Falkirk fans as well, of course, would love to hear from you, because maybe is there a fear that the season peters out, or do you think John McGlynn and his staff are too good to let that happen based on how well they've done? Where are you on Iheanacho now? Did you fully expect him to start today? Are you surprised that he hasn't?
Yes and no, unless they've got a real game plan for him. If you look just now, I think that Martin O'Neill would fancy starting 11 to win this game at Celtic Park tonight. You look at games further down the line, probably be harder games for Celtic. Of that, there's no doubt. I think Hugh mentioned a few of them. Motherwell away, obviously Rangers as well, Hibs away. Unless there's a game plan that all of a sudden he's got to put him on tonight for his usual 30-35 minutes, see if he can make an impact, and then look to start him in some of these games. I don't know. I am astonished because everybody will agree he's their best option for getting goals.
And what sort of mood do you think we'll get from the St Mirren fans? Hopefully they give us a call between now and 6 o'clock. Is it a nervousness?
Yeah, it has to be concern. That's an embarrassing result. A team whose last win was on August the 9th. As I say, St Mirren were very good the second half against Celtic in the Cup semi-final at Hampden last Sunday. What is that all about? To lose 2-0 at home, it doesn't augur well. Kilmarnock will go to Paisley. If Livy can win in Paisley, so can Kilmarnock. I'd be deeply concerned tonight if I were a St Mirren fan.
I'm sorry, just quietly going to disagree with that, right? An embarrassing result. I think it's a real sore one for them, right? Because if you look at Livy in the past lately, I know it's at home, they've ran Rangers close, they've ran Hearts close, they've put up good performances, they've had some good draws in there. They went to Easter Road as well, so their performances have been not that bad. Listen, I do agree with you in the fact that I think everybody was expecting St Mirren to win. Well, I tipped Livy at the start of the game, but
so you did.
Yeah, but I'm not going down the road. It's embarrassing. I think it's a real dent for them, and all of a sudden, okay, it helps the fact that Kilmarnock, but I don't think Kilmarnock are going to stay in this league on their away record.
No, it's damaging. It's massively damaging for St Mirren. There's no getting away from it. Next week's huge for St Mirren. They need to bounce back, and they've got such a difficult game again away to Dundee, and then following that they then play Kilmarnock at home. So the next couple of weeks is going to be huge for St Mirren and where they end up. But it is certainly a damaging result.
01419511025. Jim is first through tonight. Jim, as a Celtic fan, how are you feeling ahead of this one this evening?
I feel just fine.
Confident?
Yes, I actually think Celtic will probably win about 4 or 5-0 today.
What gives you the confidence?
Because I was listening to the manager, and obviously he's got some of his players out.
Falkirk.
And I think that's going to upset him, not upset the team. And because Celtic really need to win, I think they'll be to the off. They'll win the day.
It would be a good one for Celtic to sort of show a real sign of intent, Hugh. We keep kind of waiting on it. As the guys have said, you pick your language carefully. This is not about saying this is easy. That would be ridiculous. Celtic don't make anything look easy at the moment, and Falkirk are too good for that. But you've got you have to play the top 6 now. Falkirk are bottom of the top 6, and you're at home. So now would be a good sign, a good time for a sign of intent from Celtic, wouldn't it?
Without doubt. I repeat, for me, it's the easiest of the 5 post-split fixtures that Celtic have. But I don't think Celtic have a 5-0 in them, and they haven't had since the season began. So I wouldn't be looking for...
Somebody will point out that they beat Falkirk 4-0 earlier this season.
Well,
just to warn you.
Yeah, I said I don't think Celtic have got a 5 in them, and not tonight against Falkirk, and certainly not against Hibs, Motherwell, Rangers or Hearts.
Like we said, though, that night, it was a long time ago. So much has changed since then. Johnny Kenny got a double as an example. You know, Kasper Schmeichel was in goals. There's just so much that's different. But again, it will still be fresh enough in Falkirk's mind to know that it's possible. I think I was there. I think I worked. You know, Falkirk weren't bad, I don't think, that night. And it could happen. It can happen. I don't think we need to argue too much before a game about whether it could be 3 or it'll only be 2. You know,
they're a mixed bag, and because we watched it last week, and I think we all agreed that at 2-0 you didn't even feel that Celtic were comfortable against St Mirren in the semi-final at 2-0. All of a sudden it goes to extra time, and within minutes they banged in 4 goals. I agree with you. I don't think there's a 5 sort of floating about Celtic, the squad just now, but I do think they could go and win this maybe 2-3-0 tonight.
Jim's saying he's encouraged Cammy by Falkirk's injuries. I was looking at them earlier, and there are some. It doesn't feel like a dreadfully weak Falkirk side. You know, there's none of that really. A couple of key ones. I think we all said. Many people in here suggested Philip Lisa should be in the team of the year. He didn't. He didn't eventually make it, but he's been very impressive. He's not involved from the start, but Keelan Adams has been pretty good at right back when he's been called upon. There's no Liam Henderson's not involved either. So these would be they were the 2 main ones that jumped out for me. I think like Connor Allen in at centre back, Lewis Nielsen. Yeah, that's maybe the area that's not a first choice defensive player.
Yeah, no, it's not. Listen, the players that Falkirk are missing will hurt them. Of course it will. I think what will hurt them more is probably the result last weekend and where they're at with their current state of mind from that damaging defeat in the semi-final against Dunfermline. But listen, you look at Celtic, what an opportunity tonight to get the 3 points. I think Celtic fans, Martin O'Neill, will be looking at this, and I'm not going to put a number on the goals, but they want a few goals. They want a good result. They want the 3 points first and foremost, but a controlled performance, a 90-minute performance as well is what they'll be looking for, because the first half last week they looked very controlled, and then they came out a completely different team, and you've got to give St Mirren credit for that, but they didn't handle the second half very well at all. So I think Martin O'Neill will be looking for a reaction from that, because he didn't look happy after the semi-final in the manner that it went, because it was so controlled. It looked as if it was going to be very comfortable the second half, and it didn't end up that way. So I think if they can get a 2-3 goal lead, win, control the game and play well for long spells of the game, then that'll give them confidence going into these tougher games that they're going to face.
Quite a few talking points surrounding your club this week, Jim. There was the new contracts for Forrest and Scales and McCowan. Callum McGregor had some interesting things to say. Did any of that take your attention?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I think. I think at the end of the season, McGregor will leave. Now, the reason why I'm thinking that is because they've signed Scales, they've signed the midfielder, they've signed Forrest, and I think he's away.
Well, they don't need to sign they don't need a new contract for Callum McGregor, so it's not necessarily an indicator, as if his contract absence is any sort of sign. But his comments were interesting at the weekend.
I will
during the week. Sorry,
I'll give you my interpretation of what Callum McGregor was saying. Callum McGregor was saying, this is as bad as it looks. And I'm not sure that these guys can turn it around. And look at what's around me. Look at all the players, that the Adamus, the Mvukas, the Balaquishas, the whole coterie of duds that Celtic have gathered. And Callum McGregor, I think, was saying, I don't want to be here if it looks like this next season. And that would be the reason why he'd be out of there. They are a club in transition and then some. And no one has any faith in the board.
We pour over every word here, and so we should. You know, if you take the first sentence, Callum McGregor, I've always been the same, I want to be at Celtic. Sounds quite emphatic, you know, he's not got any designs on going anywhere. So as long as the club want me here, and as long as the club's ambition matches my own in terms of playing at the highest level, that's the bit.
Yeah,
you know, it's especially Hugh and I. We would, and Roger would encourage players to say everything that's on their mind. You know, don't hold any back. But that did feel like, you know, it's not the absolute cast iron, I'm here no matter what, that you sometimes kind of get. That's the bit that people have latched onto, isn't it? As long as the club ambition matches my own, leaves that door open for people to say, okay, well, what if it's not then, or is that what's not happening at the moment?
I don't think there's anything up with that. I just think he's meaning that he still sets those high standards. He wants the club to set them as well. Everybody knows that they've fallen below them this season. Even Celtic fans will admit that. There's no problem with that. I'll be very surprised if Callum McGregor's not there next season. I really will.
I'll be surprised if he is there.
Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why?
Wow.
I think when you see the overhaul that's required at Celtic, and when you see the disastrous transfer windows one after the other,
it kind of makes him sticking around all more important.
Through his choice, you think he would leave through his choice?
I think that press interview that he gave was very, very interesting, because Gordon, you've attended him for a long time. You know that Callum McGregor, for the most part, he's been part of a very, very successful Celtic. But he is looking about him and saying, this place is a mess.
Do you think the allure of Brendan Rodgers being where he is that what you're talking? Because I don't think you're looking at, no disrespect, right? I don't think you're looking at Callum McGregor down south.
Because if it's not there, where's he going?
Exactly. And it'll be there obviously financially, and nobody will ever have a go at him for that, because he's been loyal to Celtic. But he ain't going down south, he ain't going abroad or whatever. Is he there?
See, it's my personal interpretation of his words.
Where do you think he would go then?
It would be natural for Brendan Rodgers to have a conversation with him. But my interpretation of his words, and I repeat, we go to press conferences and Callum is very careful. And for a long time, when Celtic were going through the loss of Brendan Rodgers and then the arrival of Wilfred Nancy, we commented on this programme, when did we last hear from Callum McGregor? And I made the point to you then, Callum McGregor's not doing press conferences because he doesn't want to say what he thinks. And I think now Callum McGregor has allowed everyone to take a look at what he said and interpret it their way. And my interpretation is, he has said out there, this is as bad as it looks.
But what if he really likes the manager at their point?
But we're so far away from that. We have absolutely no idea.
I know, but he's not
happening.
going to leave before they appoint a new manager, is he?
We'll wait and see. But listen, this is Celtic.
Callum McGregor, and I know it's unlikely, Callum McGregor could finish the season a double winner as a captain of Celtic.
Yep.
Yeah, let's wait a few weeks.
That's
see.
Unlikely.
I know, all right, okay, but it's a possibility.
Possible. It's still possible.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to Jim 01419511025. We'll go back to Celtic Park because they have a game this evening, an important one, and it is going to kick off very, very soon. Lots of men out there want to feel more confident in the bedroom. In fact, 1 in 5 men have issues as they get older. That's why MedExpress is here to provide support in minutes through a free online consultation. By completing the short online consultation, they'll suggest the right treatment for your concerns, all from the comfort of your home. And you know you're in the right place. They've been one of the country's leading online pharmacies since 2013 with over 1.5 million customers. Their UK-based clinical team will support you every step of the way and send your medication straight to your door. And the best bit is the whole process is online, so you don't even have to visit your GP. So no more planning or pressure, just confidence when you need it most. Visit medexpress.co.uk to check your eligibility and get 30% off with the code SuperScoreBoard. That's SuperScoreBoard, all one word, when you check out at medexpress.co.uk.
Thank you all so much for being here at our wedding. I can't believe I get to spend the rest of my life with the woman of my dreams. Speaking of dreams, have you ever dreamed of tasting all the colours of the rainbow? Because that is exactly what you get with Skittles. 5 bold fruit flavours in every pack. Lemon, orange, lime, strawberry and blackcurrant. They're chewy, they're colourful, they're perfect. Just like my wife. So thank you for coming, and remember to buy Skittles.
Shamelessly promote the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
Get the new Samsung Galaxy S26 on the UK's best network. Circle to search an outfit and find the entire look without switching apps. And claim a Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Go worth £299. Get yours on EE today.
Results may vary depending on visual matches. Eligibility, credit check and terms apply. Claim from Samsung within 30 days of purchase. Verify best network at ee.co.uk/claims.
The all-new, all-electric Toyota CHR Plus. Sleek, stylish and quietly reliable. Available with 0% APR representative with £1,500 deposit contribution and save £1,500 with the electric car grant. Get that Toyota electric feeling. Visit your nearest Toyota centre. Price from 34495. Available on Toyota PCP when financed through Toyota Financial Services by 30th of June 2026. Optional final payment. Indemnities may be required. See website. T's and C's apply.
At Tesco, we know that beans
means Heinz.
And you love to ask, have you had yours? All of you.
Love it.
Hate it. And because I'm worth it. When you need low prices on brands you love, like 150 grams of Heinz beans, 12-pack of Weetabix, 250 grams of Marmite, or 700 millilitres of L'Oreal Elvive Colour Protect shampoo, look out for the Everyday Low Prices logo in-store and online. Tesco. Every little helps. Everyday Low Prices includes thousands of products across the majority of larger stores and online. Prices held until the 10th of May. Selected branded products only.
It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line. 0141 951 1025.
Hugh Keevins, Cammy Bell, Gordon Dalziel, all waiting for your calls. I know it's tough, St Mirren fans, but come on, let's look at it like a therapy together. You can get it off your chest just how disappointing today was and where that leaves you, because it looked like there had been signs of improvement under Craig McLeish. Look at the second half against Celtic. Even went to Celtic Park the week before and did really well. Had got some points on the board, but that must set things back a bit. A home defeat to Livy, and well done to Livy, because every week people keep trotting out the stat about no league wins since August. You've finally got one. It might not be enough to save you, but surely a positive sign nevertheless. So St Mirren fans and everyone else involved at the bottom, where does that leave things? 0141 951 1025 right now. We're not too far away at all from kick-off at Celtic Park. So whilst you all get your calls in, and please do phone us right now if you can. Rangers fans, what about you tomorrow as well? Are you confident? Who do we all think will end the weekend top of the table? The time to get some predictions in, because there's an Edinburgh derby as well. So Hearts fans, Rangers fans, Motherwell fans, call us right now about tomorrow as well. 01419511025. Let's go back to Celtic Park and get a flavour of the build-up. Alison McConnell can remind us everything that's at stake and run through the teams for us.
Yes, indeed. Sorry, the atmosphere just building here at Celtic Park just now. It's filling up. It's a very positive atmosphere as we speak. There's a real pre-planned show of support. The huge numbers lined the Celtic way to greet the Celtic bus coming in this morning, and they've just unveiled at the Green Brigade corner, they've just unveiled the old kit from 1986. It will be 40 years next week, of course, since Celtic inflicted Hearts' most heartbreaking campaign when they nicked the title at Love Street and denied Hearts a title. So they've just unveiled an old replica shirt of that with all the photographs and mementos of that day, and they're just beseeching this side now to go and bring in the spirit of 86 as they look to turn around what has been a chaotic, disjointed and fractious season today. As it stands, it's a positive mood inside here at Celtic Park, but I think they'll be keen to get off to a very quick start against Falkirk and just look to sustain that kind of form that they showed in extra time at Hampden. It's a Celtic team that's toiled to really produce a 90-minute performance, a complete performance for so much of this campaign, and that's what they're going to need to find if they are to somehow go and snatch this title.
We're nearly there, as you can hear. The atmosphere is really, really cranking up. Let's just get a reminder of the teams from Alison as well. Alison, who's taken to the field to kick this one off?
So Sinisalo in goal for Celtic, and it is a back four of Anthony Ralston, Liam Scales, Austin Trusty and Kieran Tierney, and then we have Ernie Engels, Callum McGregor and Benjamin Nygren, James Forrest, Dyson Maeda and Yang. So James Forrest back in, Noe Nacho, he's on the bench, Alistair Johnson also on the bench. Falkirk, a few enforced changes there. Nicky Hogarth comes in for the injured Scott Bain, and it's a back four of Keelan Adams, Lewis Nielsen, Connor Allen Connor Allen and Lewis McCandon. The Leon McCandon noise in Celtic Park is probably the noisiest we've heard so far this season. And then we have Dylan Tate and Brad Spencer. Then we have Ben Broggio, Finn Yates and Calvin Miller with Barney Stewart through the middle.
Listen to that, Hugh Keevins. I think Celtic Park is up for it anyway. It doesn't give you any guarantees or anything from it, but my goodness, clearly the Celtic fans know what's at stake over these coming games.
Absolutely, and to reinforce your point from earlier on, they know it's vital that in the first game you set the tone, and you're at home, you're against the bottom team in the top six, if I can put it that way, and that has to be the starter gun, because you've got Hibs away, you've got Motherwell away, and then Rangers and Hearts at Celtic Park. But tonight has to be not without flaw, because no Celtic game this season has been without flaw, but it has to be a positive indicator. The park looks terrific, the crowd is huge, the banner there about 1986, 40 years ago, a week tomorrow. I was actually on this programme on that day, and 40 years later the memory is still as vivid as it was that afternoon. So Celtic since then have always retained the philosophy that anything is possible, and the fans retain that philosophy. They have to go out and prove it tonight.
Yeah, listen, it's a massive game for Celtic. I said it before, I feel as if this is a real opportunity. It's going to be a difficult game because we all know how good Falkirk are, but for me it's a perfect game. It's straight off the back of Falkirk having such a disappointment last weekend. Celtic are at home, the opportunity to go and put pressure on Hearts and Rangers to get a result tomorrow. So it's all there for them. It's the perfect night, as Hugh says, the sun's shining, the crowd's up for it, so they just need to go and deliver now.
That's the most important thing for me. You're starting off the split. You've got to get 3 points in the bag. You've got to look and say to Hearts tomorrow and Rangers, you've got to go and win, because we've obviously done our bit here. That's what it's going to be from now until we find out who's going to be champions. I fancy Celtic tonight, I really do. I like the guys, it'll never be easy, but I think Celtic have got 3 points here.
Fast start certainly at Celtic Park is what the fans are looking for. There's a couple of moments early on where maybe a pass just too heavy, Dyson Maeda, as you would expect, chasing down the goalkeeper even before that, and the sunshine in the east end of Glasgow. So we'll keep you up to speed on anything that happens in the early stages, but still get the calls in 01419511025, whether that's Celtic fans, Rangers fans. How are you feeling about tomorrow? Motherwell have pushed you close this season, a couple of draws at Fir Park, there was a narrow win for you at Ibrox. Do you think this team, the goals they're scoring at home, you think they can get the job done tomorrow? And James Tavernier, I wonder what role he'll play as he begins the farewell after that big announcement during the week. You've got an Edinburgh derby as well. I know we're not there yet. We need to see what happens with Celtic, but how good is tomorrow going to be? A Dundee derby as well that nobody's mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, Hibs have an obligation to beat Hearts. Leaf expects they cannot have Hearts winning the league, because Hearts would brag about it from now until the end of time. Therefore, the job that Hibs have tomorrow is simple. They have to try and sabotage Hearts' league title win. And Motherwell at Ibrox, a Motherwell side who at one time, and you remember this well, were spoken of in here as perhaps being part of a 4-horse race. Those days are long gone now, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of Motherwell performance you get at Ibrox tomorrow.
I must admit, I think we have got brilliant games tomorrow. You'd fancy Rangers because it's at home, the amount of goals that they've scored lately at Ibrox. It will be difficult. Motherwell have taken a little dip, but don't rule them out. They've got real decent players in there. 5 players from the Player of the Year.
Team of the Year, yeah.
Team of the Year, sorry. So it shows you how well they've performed. But I am so looking forward to the Edinburgh Derby, Gordon. I think it'll be brilliant.
3 minutes gone in Celtic Park. Cammy, anything you've noticed in particular?
No, it's been a fast start from Celtic. They've moved the ball well. There's been no real attacks yet, but certainly you can see the intent, that the speed they want to play at. And I think that's vital. I think you've seen it last weekend when they lost control of the game. It was when they slowed the play down far too much. So they need to take control of this game. They want to get an early goal, of course they will, because it'll settle the crowd, it'll settle the players. But yeah, they've certainly started the game fast.
Give us a rundown on the other Falkirk goalkeeper, because Baines had a very, very good season, but he's out injured. What about his replacement?
Nicky Hogarth, yeah. Listen, Nicky was the goalkeeper that got them to the top flight. So he's brilliant. He's excellent, and I feel. Yeah, I understand why Falkirk made the move for an experienced goalkeeper in Scott Bain. It's been a really good move because he's been excellent this season. But Nicky Hogarth's a more than capable goalkeeper at this level.
Celtic knocking it about quite well here, but James Forrest just misses the chance to slide one down the line. Doesn't often take the wrong choice, James Forrest, for all things naturally slow down and all that. It's not something you can usually accuse him of, but it just didn't quite work there. And I think Anthony Ralston has fouled Calvin Miller.
Yeah, we wondered, because of Forrest coming back in with Yang, who was going to play off the right, who would play off the left. Obviously it's going to be Forrest off the right hand side, Yang down the left, to give them that width and try and give an opportunity to get the balls in the box and Celtic to go and capitalise on it. And I've got to say, just looking at the pitch there, if I was a Celtic player I'd be playing down the left, and if I was a Falkirk player I'd be playing down the right.
Try and stay in the sun.
Try and stay in the sun because it looks beautiful.
Let's hear a bit from Neil McCann. We're starting to get that stage on a Saturday where the post-match reactions come into us. Keep the calls coming if you fancy it. Looking ahead to tomorrow, Rangers fans, how are you feeling? What team would you pick and all the rest of it? And anything else that we've missed to put us in our place. Neil McCann, though, a defeat for Kilmarnock at Aberdeen, which leaves them very much in that relegation playoff spot. But St Mirren lost as well. Here's what Neil McCann made of it.
I'm very proud of how we played the game, considering an early setback which continually plagues us. We was talking about have a smart start, don't give Aberdeen a lift, and this is exactly what we did. And then to rub salt into the wounds, we lost Jamie to an injury which we'll assess over the next couple of days. But I felt we grew into the game. For 5 minutes after that goal, you could see that it was like, here we go again, But we adjusted to that pressure. We continued to play, we created lots of chances. I think I hit the woodwork 3 or 4 times. We just didn't have the shine on the good work that we looked for. And unfortunately we leave Pittodrie with nothing.
Remind us all, the three of you, who you said before a ball was kicked today, who would finish 11th?
I said Kilmarnock.
St Mirren.
I went Kilmarnock, but I'm worried about St Mirren.
I don't think I can allow you to change your opinion on one afternoon, but talk to me. If I was feeling so generous, did anything that happened today change your mind?
I would change my mind.
See what chance we got. One game to the next.
But I would go Aberdeen.
The significance of St Mirren getting beat at home to Livingston, I think is really, really damaging. And again, you look at their fixtures coming up, an away game to Dundee that potentially will take Dundee completely out of the relegation battle. So I think they've got a real task on their hands, because then they face Kilmarnock at home. I think Neil McCann, when listen to his comments there, again, he's mentioned he's disappointed with the start. Kilmarnock can't keep giving teams goals. They can't keep giving teams a head start because they're not good enough to win games, and that's been proven today. Yes, he can be proud of the players, but they need results at this moment in time. They can't just keep saying they're proud of the players. he needs to make sure they're not gifting teams goals, certainly in the early stages of the game.
Do you know what hurt St Mirren today? The fact that Kilmarnock have lost. They're at home to Livingston, bottom of the table, and we all agree that they should beat them, but that's just one of those games. It could have given them that little safety comfort.
Of course it could have.
5 points.
Beat the team at the bottom at home and you're 5 points clear.
Yeah. But
and that's why I think
back in it.
Kilmarnock's visit to Paisley, the third last game, I think that is the decider. I think if Kilmarnock went there and won, I think St Mirren would be in the playoffs.
Well, what do y'all think, St Mirren fans, Kilmarnock fans? Give us a call right now. Aberdeen, that them safe then?
Yeah.
Okay, because people were hesitant to go that far, but they're now 8 points above Kilmarnock, and not only that, Dundee and St Mirren are in between them.
Yeah.
So that's
they're fine.
I don't think it's an uplifting win, but you're not looking for anything uplifting. You're just looking for something that guarantees survival.
At Celtic on the front foot, Cammy, there was a kind of sustained period, couple of nice passes. Dyson Maida doing his usual, pressed really well, won the ball back. Kieran Tierney flashed the ball across, so nothing clear cut or anything like that, but it's just, let's hang fire because Falkirk are on the edge of the box, but it comes to nothing. It's a decent enough start, 8 minutes in, bright enough from Celtic.
Yeah, they look as I mentioned, intensity. They're playing with that intensity, they're playing with a purpose as well. I think it was Tierney getting down the wing you mentioned there and putting a cross in, and Nicky Hogarth came and collected really well. Good hands from him, but certainly there's good signs from Celtic. But the Falkirk side, they're always still a threat. They've got good players, and when you've got Barney Stewart at the top end of the pitch that knows where the goal is, then you need to be wary and be switched on even when you've got the ball.
They're working it about quite well.
Yeah.
The one thing they're doing is they're pressing very high. They're not giving Celtic time to build from the back. They're not.
They man for man all over the place here.
They've really went brave. That's the way John operates. He believes in his players, even at Celtic Park. They're not allowed Celtic to get into a rhythm from the back, play into McGregor, let them dictate the play. They're really pressing high.
I hate sunshine on pitches.
Oh, for goodness sake. That sums you up. What do you mean you hate sunshine?
On football pitches.
Why?
It just kills it.
Prefer the rain.
Bring the rain on.
Yeah.
This is the type of analysis you get on here. James Forrest cross. Too far, out for a throw-in, and with 9.5 gone, it remains Celtic 0, Falkirk 0. And we'll bring you right up to speed when we return.
Changes in sexual performance are more common than most people realise, and support doesn't need to feel awkward. With MedExpress, everything happens privately online. Start by completing a short consultation reviewed by UK-registered clinicians. If eligible, treatment is delivered discreetly to your home, with ongoing support whenever you need it. You're not alone in this. Visit medexpress.co.uk/podcast to learn more.
This week with Lidl's Garden event, you can reserve your ceramic Kamado barbecue for just £249. Claim yours through the Lidl Plus app and collect it in-store next week. Now we're cooking. Lidl, more to value. Subject to availability, selected stores, T's and C's apply. See lidl.co.uk/Lidl-plus-terms. Offer ends 26th of the 4th, 26.
Thank you all so much for being here at our wedding. I can't believe I get to spend the rest of my life with the woman of my dreams. Speaking of dreams, have you ever dreamed of tasting all the colours of the rainbow? Because that is exactly what you get with Skittles. 5 bold fruit flavours in every pack. Lemon, orange, lime, strawberry and blackcurrant. They're chewy, they're colourful, they're perfect. Just like my wife. So thank you for coming, and remember to buy Skittles.
Shamelessly promote the rainbow. Taste the rainbow.
With Betfred, when you bet £10, you get £50 in free bets. So, want to back your new striker to score the first goal? Your midfield maestro to get the assist? Want to say there'll be a header? Want to see their striker caught offside? He was born offside. Want to predict the final score? Or both teams to score? Want to get involved for 90 minutes? Want to nick it in extra time? Want to bet £10 and get £50 in free bets? Want to bet? Betfred. New online customers only. 5 £10 free bets. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Get the new Samsung Galaxy S26 on the UK's best network. Circle to search an outfit and find the entire look without switching apps. And claim a Samsung Galaxy Chromebook Go worth £299. Get yours on EE today.
Results may vary depending on visual matches. Eligibility, credit check and terms apply. Claim from Samsung within 30 days of purchase. Verify best network at ee.co.uk/claims.
The all-new, all-electric Toyota CHR Plus. Sleek, stylish and quietly reliable. Available with 0% APR representative with £1,500 deposit contribution and save £1,500 with the electric car grant. Get that Toyota electric feeling. Visit your nearest Toyota centre. Price from 34495. Available on Toyota PCP when financed through Toyota Financial Services by 30th of June 2026. Optional final payment. Indemnities may be required. See website T's and C's apply.
You can't do much in under 5 minutes. Boil an egg? Sure. Cook a roast dinner? No chance. But comparing car insurance prices with mustard.co.uk? Easy. See what you could save in just a few minutes. Click mustard.co.uk. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. See website for details.
Games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
13 minutes gone at Celtic Park. It remains goalless. You've not missed a great deal. Would that be a fair assessment, Gordon Dalziel?
Yeah, it's lively. Obviously, it's one of those games that's just settling down now. Celtic got off to a good start, but I'm impressed with the fact that Falkirk, very brave, going man for man, going very high in the press, try to take the game to Celtic as well. So I think first goal's got to be important. And if Celtic can get it, it just settles the nerves a little bit.
Yeah, it's been bright enough, hasn't it, Hugh?
Not going to be the 4 or 5 that Jim McCullough was looking for.
How do you know?
Oh, yeah, I can tell.
He's decided.
Yeah.
Right, listen, you may well be right, but I don't know if we can tell yet. 13 and a half gone. Celtic very much on the front foot. Right, we've been analysing the picture at the bottom of the table. Let's hear from Craig McLeish, St Mirren. Just when you think you get a fixture that looks like the easier of the ones in the bottom 6 at home to Livy, hadn't won since the second match day of the season, an eternity ago, and Livy do go there and win. What about Craig McLeish's reaction?
I think that's maybe been the story of a lot of our season. We know that we've kind of lacked goals throughout the team all year, but it's still a bit like we have to do better. We still created some chances. The goalkeeper's had a couple of good saves. We've controlled large parts of the game, but it just felt like we knew like Livingston were going to want a kind of slow game, a bit of a sticky game. We had to speed things up, and we probably didn't do that enough. Although we had control in the first half, we could have just did things a little bit quicker. But we still create chances. We still feel like we did enough in the first half to take the lead. If you take the lead, it's a different type of game, but we can't take that for granted and just expect that control to last throughout the full game. I think two shots on target for them and 2 goals. I know we've only had 4 on target, but we don't convert any of them. It's not like we've been dominated throughout the game. We spoke all week that Livingston would hurt us on counter-attacks, and we're in safe possession of the ball twice, and we turn it over and we concede 2 goals. That's the disappointing thing. I thought we were too loose on the ball today. We have to be better on the ball. We have to be a bit sharper and quicker on the ball. But it was like that looseness and those turnovers when they're unforced errors and we're in safe possession there. If a team comes here and outplays you and dominates you, you can hold your hands up to it. But I didn't think that it was today. Like we were the kind of creators of our own downfall. Craig McLeish reminds me of Stephen McGinn when they speak. That's just a personal thought that no one will really care about. More importantly, you can understand that if it's not, maybe they didn't play that badly. Maybe he feels they deserve something from it. It's just so close to the end of the season that stuff just, it kind of it lessens its impact, doesn't it?
It's just talk. The St Mirren supporters, their overriding feeling is that they've just lost to a team who had 1 win to their name all season, and they've lost to them at home, and they've lost by 2 goals. It's just a rank bad afternoon, and there is no other way of looking at it.
It's the same at the top and the bottom of the league. It doesn't matter how you play at this stage of the season. It's results. It's results that are most important. That decides whether you win leagues or you get relegated. And that, for me, today is such a poor result and such a poor start to the bottom 6 for St Mirren that it'll be interesting to see how they react next week, because, as I say, they go away to Dundee. For me, it's an opportunity for Dundee to completely take themselves out of that relegation battle next week. So, yeah, they've got a big few weeks ahead of them.
Well, I can't disagree. It was a great opportunity. Just put a little bit of distance between them and Kilmarnock, especially Kilmarnock losing at Aberdeen. And if you're going to stay here and stay in the league and not get dragged into that 11th spot, I think winning your home games is so important.
Which brings us back to Kilmarnock going to Paisley. Because instead of a 5-point lead, which you might have had you beaten Livingston, you could lose to Kilmarnock and find yourself a point behind them.
Well, listen, Kilmarnock are at home to Dundee United next weekend.
Yeah.
So that, and I said St Mirren are away to Dundee. So listen, there could be a complete flip, and then the game at Paisley again with Kilmarnock and St Mirren. So it's going to be a really intriguing couple of weeks.
Don't forget, there is still time to squeeze calls in. It's just always a bit of a strange schedule this when we have a game very much underway, and hard to break away from it for too long. But if you do fancy it, we'll try and squeeze one in. 01419511025. Maybe your thoughts on Rangers Motherwell tomorrow, or a wee prediction who's going to be top come the end of the weekend, or how you think the picture could look. But this is lively stuff at Celtic Park. Celtic are getting into good areas, but that's probably about it, Gordon. Nothing really beyond that.
Do you know the only thing I'd say probably disappoints Martin O'Neill? They've not really tested goalkeeper.
No.
They're trying to get most of the Celtic attacks are come down the left hand side with Yang. They've got into a wee position here, and that's so frustrating. Engels on that right foot. He's got quality, there's no doubt about that, but once again, too easy, just balloons it well over the bar. As I keep saying, until you get that first goal and settle everything down a little bit, Falkirk, they've went about this game quite brave for me, and it'll be interesting to see how this develops.
Falkirk was going to say, Cammy, just quickly on the tactical thing before Hugh comes in. They always do mix it up, don't they? You could see there they were about to play it out from the back. They just assess, decide not out, and they take their time. Everybody goes now up the pitch, and the kick just goes long. They're not wedded to this one particular way of playing all the time.
Yeah, which is great, not one dimensional, because it can become too predictable when you play out from the back all the time. You can put yourself under unnecessary pressure, and Nicky Hogarth there again realises the flow of the game, that Celtic have got the most of the play at this moment in time, just to disrupt it a little bit. They set up as if they're going to play out, then he decides they're going long, so it just slows the game up, and that's perfect for Falkirk at this moment in time. They'll just feel their way into the game, and it's been, both teams have played some good football so far, and it's been played at a really good pace.
That's what we'll be interested about tomorrow, Gordon, talking about always doing similar things, not the same things because they do tweak, but Motherwell don't tend to care whether it's Ibrox, Celtic Park, Tynecastle. Going to a team that's scored a lot of goals at home recently and is hunting a title, but they'll just, Jens Bertolat, he'll have something up his sleeve now. Whether it works or not, it's entirely different, but you can just imagine how it's going to play out.
Yeah, I think it'll be a terrific game. I really do. I think it'll be an entertaining game. Motherwell will be like Falkirk. They'll go to Ibrox, will be full of confidence, they'll be brave, they'll go on the ball, they'll try and dominate most of it. I just think because of the way Rangers are getting about with their firepower at home, they've scored 4 goals in their last few games at Ibrox. Will they go with the 2 up top that they finished against Falkirk in the second half? Because the first half performance against Falkirk wasn't good enough. Be interesting tomorrow to see what they do.
That pushing and shoving, it's a bit lively at Celtic Park, but nothing really happening, just daft fouls now. Let's bring in Alec, who's on the phone lines. Hi, Alec.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, good. What's your point tonight, Alec?
Right, I've read about McGregor, what he's been saying, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got his answer to it. Their ambitions is they've just signed Scales for another 4 years. I think that's his answer. They've not got any ambition.
So you weren't impressed with the Liam Scales contract news?
No, definitely not. I think he's done his best for Celtic, but that is his best now. He's not getting any better. And Ralston's the same, by the way. The two of them. Let McCown maybe okay. Give him a chance, but
I wonder. I'm not saying everybody has to love Liam Scales, but it does feel like he's in a slightly different. So Luke McKibben doesn't start that many games for Celtic. He's kind of in and out. James Forrest is obviously getting to a stage in his career, and he doesn't. But like or lump Liam Scales, he's an absolute mainstay of the team. So it's not that surprising he got a new deal, is it?
Not for me. I know that some guys don't rate him that well, but you're going to need a
chance for Falkirk. That's what the intake of breath was.
You're going to need a squad next year, a strong squad, and he's played a lot of games for Celtic. I'm surprised that Celtic went about and signed 3 players and gave them longer contracts when right now that's not their priority. You know what I mean? Scales ain't going to leave the club. Look, McGowan is certainly not going to leave the club, and James Forrest would be delighted to get his year's extension.
Good save from Sinisalo. It was a great effort from outside the box from Brad Spencer. Took it in the volley. Did really, really well to keep it on target, and Sinisalo beats it away, corner to Falkirk. Alec, do you not think Liam Scales is at least kind of worth keeping at the club and keeping around? I mean, whether he stays first pick all the time or not, who knows? But I mean, he plays all the time at the moment.
Aye, because Carter Vickers is out.
Well, no, he's not. No, because it's usually it would be Scales and Carter Vickers if they were.
Get back in. He was starting to play well with
maybe.
Carter Vickers.
You know what? I understand that, Alec, I'm on your side. I've just said earlier in the programme, I thought that Callum McGregor's press conference was dedicated to saying,
yes,
this is as bad as it looks here. And I'm just letting you know that.
Right.
I know that they have to get Scales on board as a squad player. For me, that's what he is, a squad player.
That's it.
And the number of players that Celtic require is frightening. And they don't have a manager. I see Jens Bertel Askau is sitting watching the Celtic game, and it's as clear as can be that Askau wants the Celtic job.
Is it?
Well, yeah, he's forever at Celtic games. Forever at Celtic games.
He's sitting next to David Gray.
David Gray.
Yeah.
Is he getting the job?
I am telling you that Askau, it's well known how many Celtic games he attends.
Hold on, but that's not what. Whether he ends up Celtic manager or not, they all go to scout who they're about to play in a couple of weeks' time. He's sitting next to David Gray, as we just said. And they can only go when you're not playing at the same time.
Have it your own way, but he wants he wants the Celtic job.
How do you know? Because you see him on the telly at the games?
No, I've spoken to people.
Who?
I like it. No. Journalists don't betray their sources. But
a guy at the petrol station doesn't count.
No, and I wouldn't talk to you about guys at petrol stations. And why would I, a non-driver, be in a petrol station?
Because that's where you go for your newspaper. You tell us all the time.
And it's a lady that runs the shop there.
No, I mean a customer, fellow customer.
Anyway, fellow professionals in the game, and I have heard of conversations. So
you think he's spoken to Celtic?
No. I've heard of conversations he's had with other people. So why would it be such a surprise to you that Jens Bertel Askau might fancy the Celtic job?
Oh no, it wouldn't. It's just the evidence based that because he's there watching it I think that's a complete non-starter.
Anyway,
to go
back to Alec's point, the show of ambition that's required is as plain as the nose in your face. But Alec, the most important thing is nobody's got any idea who'll be the manager of Celtic and who'll make these signings.
Well, see, in fairness though, right, see if there is a lack of ambition and Callum McGregor feels it, I don't think is Liam Scales' contract the best example of that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like maybe who they sign in the summer, the man. I don't think Callum McGregor. If that's the crux of the point, if Callum McGregor's going, that's Liam Scales signed a new contract, I'm off.
No.
Anyway, right, we're out of time as you can hear. Good ball across the face from Leon McCann. So Falkirk are getting closer than Celtic are at the moment. With 25 gone, Celtic 0, Falkirk 0. The great thing is this is just the beginning. Tomorrow is going to be blockbuster, and the guys have got you covered Sunday afternoon on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Make sure you're here and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. In the company, we've got just the man for the sunshine. It's George Bowie and the GBX up next.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast was brought to you by White and Mackay. A calm head amongst the chaos. 18 plus. Keep the heat and always drink responsibly.